Chapter 760. When Li Longji opened his eyes, he saw Wu Huifei dozing off beside the couch, and Gao Lishir looking as though nothing had happened. Gao Lishir was the first to react. He hurriedly called the palace maids and eunuchs over to serve him while he went to arrange breakfast. Wu Huifei was also alarmed. Just as she was about to greet him, she was stopped by Li Longji. "Beloved consort, you must be tired from last night. Why don't you take a nap first?" In fact, Wu Huifei had already taken a nap beside the couch, but she didn't sleep well. It seemed that everyone in the imperial palace, except for the emperor, had mastered the ability to sleep at any time and wake up at any time, and it was difficult for others to notice. Seeing that the emperor had woken up, Wu Huifei prepared to ask about what happened yesterday. She wanted to know what could make the emperor and the ministers so happy. "Your Majesty, this concubine isn't sleepy. Your Majesty's complexion is so good today. Did you have a good dream?" Wu Huifei couldn't directly ask the emperor what he said to them yesterday, so she could only beat around the bush. Li Longji didn't think too much about it. While the others were busy, he took Wu Huifei into his arms and said happily, "I didn't have a good dream last night, but I felt like I was in a dream during the day. Ah, could it be that your Majesty didn't rest well yesterday? It's all this concubine's fault." Wu Huifei said in shock, No, it has nothing to do with my beloved concubine. I had a good rest yesterday." Li Longji chuckled. Wu Huifei snuggled in Li Longji's arms and patted her chest. She asked curiously, "Could it be that your Majesty saw immortals yesterday?" "Yes, although I didn't see immortals in the heavens, I saw little immortals in the mortal world. They were Xiao Bao and Cuckoo." Hearing Wu Huifei's question, Li Longji became even happier. In the future, he would just have to wait to take over other people's territory. Wu Huifei looked at Li Longji helplessly and said, "How can your Majesty say that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are immortals? No matter how great their abilities are, it's still your Majesty's kindness. What new ideas did they come up with?" Yes, this is our benevolence not only to them, but also to the people of the Great Tang. Yesterday, the two of them mentioned a major matter. At this point, Li Longji intentionally paused and looked at Wu Huifei, waiting for her to ask. "Your Majesty, what's the big matter? Quickly tell me, so that I can be happy with your Majesty." How could Wu Huifei not know what to do? She immediately acted coquettishly. Li Longji enjoyed Wu Huifei's reaction and continued, "The two of them want to open a bank. It's like this." Without holding anything back, Li Longji told Wu Huifei about what Zhang Xiaobao had told Wang Wan yesterday. After he finished, he had a smug look on his face. Wu Huifei was shocked. What will the officials of other departments, such as the Ministry of Revenue, think? Let's see if they can work together to deal with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. There's no need to do anything to the two of them immediately. As long as we delay them, they won't be able to open the bank and print the money. Then, in 3 to 5 years, as long as they don't make any achievements this year, the emperor will definitely be angry. The more Wu Huifei thought about it, the more she felt that an opportunity had come. The smile on her face became more and more brilliant, making Li Longji think that Wu Huifei was happy with him. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't know that Wu Huifei was thinking of a way to scheme against them. In fact, the two of them already knew that the battle with Wu Huifei wouldn't be easily extinguished. One was to defeat Wu Huifei, and the best would be to have Li Longji throw her into the coal palace. This idea was probably very difficult to achieve. There was no need to say how much Li Longji valued Wu Huifei. Otherwise, he wouldn't always want to remove Empress Wang and let Wu Huifei take a throne. Since this didn't work, they could only distance themselves and make Wu Huifei feel that they couldn't do anything. That way, things would be easier. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been paying attention to Wu Huifei recently. Unknown dangers were the most difficult to guard against. In the morning, they ate with their younger siblings and left them to study in the inner courtyard. The two of them went to arrange things. Otherwise, the two of them would be teaching little Bei and the others in the morning. They were too busy today. Under the discussion of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, letters were written and sent to various places. They even sent a letter to the front line of Tubo's Jinchuan. This was a major matter. If they made a move, they would have to make a move as well. Otherwise, someone might have taken advantage of them. Lu Zhou's matter was of the utmost importance. Hence, there were more things to be done. They could make a move on Xin Yuan Island now. They still had to persuade the merchants from other places to continue exploring the sea. Wang Wan rubbed her wrist that was sore from writing letters as she said to Zhang Xiaobao, it's almost noon. Let's go. I think Li Longji should be leaving soon." Zhang Xiaobao was so tired that his head was buzzing. There were too many things to consider. Even he and Wang Wan could not finish everything after working the whole morning. They still had to wait until the evening to think about it. When he heard Wang Wan's words, he put down the pen in his hand and said, "Just hang in there. We'll be fine after a few days. Lu Zhou hasn't sent any letters for half a month. I wonder how the munitions factory is doing? They can already make rear-firing bullets, but they're still lacking in terms of guns. I hope they can hurry up." Even if they did not use copper coins, they still had to prepare more gold and silver. America had already left the gold standard, but they still had a lot of gold in reserve. Moreover, there was no harm in preparing some gold. One day, they would be able to use it in electronic circuits. If a country without gold and silver wanted to make good electronic circuits, they could only buy them from other countries. Now is a good time. Let's stop mining in our country and transport them from other countries. Fortunately, there are coal and oil. We can't mine from the sea. As our industrial revolution slowly matures, we can mine the land from other countries first. When will a large amount of oil be used? When our refining technology gradually matures, we must remember not to let people from other countries get their hands on our technology. When we were developing, other countries blocked our technology for a long time. Wang Wan agreed wholeheartedly. If they could keep it a secret, they should keep it a secret. It would be best if they could occupy more land while they were still alive. When the time came, they could mine all the good ores without restraint. They would do the same even if it was coal. Although coal was not valuable now, it was still the same. Xiaobao, if someone really wants to take a share of the bank's business, do you think we should let them? It's easy to deal with one or two people. But if there are too many of them, can we really deal with them all? When the time comes, all the forces will join forces. Even Li Longji will have to compromise, right? Wang Wan suddenly thought of the problem that Wu Huifei also thought of. Zhang Xiaobao blinked and said to Wang Wan, we must deal with them. We don't have to worry about many people going against us. After we deal with a few people, we will cooperate with other people who want to take a share. A bank is not a restaurant. You can open it with a little money. You need to have a part of the money first. I think that as long as a bank loan appears, there will be many people who are worried about not having enough money, but have a way to get rich coming to get a loan. If they don't have a foundation, how can they get a loan? Not only do we have to pull others in, but we also have to pull the imperial court in as well. However, the businessmen who cooperated with us first can't be involved in the bank's business. If that's the case, it will make people suspect that we, who are close to each other, did something. It will be easy for people to use this as an excuse to attack us. However, after we open the bank, we can give a certain discount to those who have been cooperating with us and let them deposit their money in the bank. So that's how it is. Then, are we going to let others take a share? With our family's financial resources, it seems that we can't open banks all over Great Tang. At most, we can take a share of 10%. This is still under the constant transfer of funds. There is a time difference between opening banks. Wang Wan felt that her family's share of the bank was too small. If Li Longji wasn't in such a hurry, he could have done it bit by bit. However, Li Longji wanted to see results in a short period of time. 3 to 5 years was indeed a short period of time. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't anxious about this matter at all. He chuckled and said to Wang Wan, "What was the problem that Li Yu encountered at the beginning? Isn't it just raising funds and increasing shares? We can do the same. Even if we take a share of 10%, it will be more than other people. Who has more money than us? We don't care about the money from the imperial court, but as long as other people dare to fork out money, they might take more shares in the beginning. For example, if dozens of people fork out money for a region, we might not even be able to take a share of 10%. However, we can still continue doing other business, and we will earn more money in the future. Even if each of our banks only takes a share of 5%, it won't take long for us to accumulate a lot of money. Then, we can pool our money and invest in the banks one by one, diluting the shares of others. That's right. Let's do that. First, we'll open a bank and let Li Longji see hope. Then, we'll squeeze the shares of others bit by bit. Is there any other good method? Wang Wan asked excitedly. There is. There is another method. When lending money, there has to be a rule. Will they set this rule? If they really do it, the bank will easily lose money. After all, it's different from lending money in the past. We can take advantage of this loophole. For example, we can send people to look for projects and borrow money. During the estimation, we can make use of the rules. Originally, we can only borrow 1,000 strings of coins, but we can only lend 5,000 strings of coins and use the extra money to raise funds. When the time comes, we can declare bankruptcy and let the bank take back the project. In this way, whether the project is profitable or not, it doesn't matter. Or we can open a separate bank and strictly ask the local government to lend, increase the reserve ratio, and use the new bank to borrow from the old bank. Then, we can raise the interest a little. This is using the old bank's money to make money for our new bank. Zhang Xiaobao said another method. No. Why are you using such methods again? Wang Wan immediately rejected. That's right. I just said it. We can't go overboard even if we borrow the chicken to lay the eggs. When the time comes, we can try it in other countries. There are many other methods. I haven't used them for many years, and I'm itching to use them. Zhang Xiaobao reacted. He had an agreement with Wang, one that he could not use two harsh methods on his own country. As the two of them chatted, it was time for lunch. The team was almost done with their preparations and was ready to set off after lunch. Li Longji called Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan over and asked if the two of them had done it. After getting an affirmative answer, he had a peaceful meal. Just as the team set off and walked halfway, many people from the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came from Luoyang and found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Steward Zhang personally came and pulled Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan into a carriage. He got someone to bring over a large box and opened the lock with a snap for the two of them to see. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan became nervous the moment they saw it. There were many parts in the box, and the two of them were very familiar with the functions of these parts. The two of them even drew the blueprints for the production. It was built purely by hand. Pa, 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 pa. It was quickly assembled. The parts in front of them were gone. There were 2 short guns and 2 long guns. All that was left were bullets and rods. After wiping the oil on his hands, Zhang Xiaobao touched the guns excitedly and muttered, "It's finally done. I didn't give the craftsmen so much money for nothing. Such good treatment. Although they don't have personal freedom for the time being, with this thing, who would dare to use force when we trade on boats outside? Why are you so happy so early? We still don't know the shooting range and accuracy. Can the effective range of a handgun be 30 meters? I don't think so. The same goes for a rifle. Can it shoot out 1,000 meters? Find some time and find a place to test it. Unfortunately, there's no silencer. Should we let Li Longji know?" Wang Wan poured a bucket of cold water on Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips. He also knew that this kind of weapon was not easy to make. Not only did it have to be made with good steel, it could only be made by hand. It was estimated that only a few could be made in a day. After saving up for a year and discounting the scraps, it would be good enough if they could form a team. Touching the handgun and the long gun, he gestured a few times and said, "As long as the trajectory of each bullet is not different, it's fine. At most, we can just get used to it and find the deviation when aiming. Who knows how many good steel pipes have been damaged by pulling the chamber? We can only make new ones. What about the bullets? It's not that easy to purify gunpowder. I estimate that 1 in 10 will fail. Steward Zhang, did you send a letter saying how many people were injured while making the bullets? Wang Wan wiped the oil off the handgun and covered the holster with her clothes. She inserted the handgun and disassembled the long gun and put it back. She asked Steward Zhang. Steward Zhang took out the letter and handed it to Wang Wan while saying, "The letter says that because they weren't familiar with it in the early stages, a few people were injured, but no one died. Little girl, can you let me see the power of this weapon? Then you can follow the team." When we reach Jinyang, Xiao Bao and I will find an excuse to go somewhere where there's no one and try it. Wang Wan took out the handgun again and stuffed the bullets into the magazine. After checking the safety and seeing that the firing pin could be blocked, she put it back in with ease. As for whether the bullets could misfire on their own, there was no need to consider this. It was impossible under normal circumstances. Unless there was an impact or it was too hot, there was no need to sell firecrackers. Steward Zhang thought for a moment and finally felt that he was still needed in Luoyang. He did not follow Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned, Li Longji even asked out of concern if something had happened at home. Zhang Xiaobao casually found an excuse to brush him off. How could Li Longji know that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had returned with an additional weapon? In addition, the two of them also had something in their backpacks that could shoot further than ordinary bows and arrows. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't hold it in any longer. They wanted to find a chance to test the gun. Speaking of which, the range of a handgun wasn't as good as that of a crossbow. If it was accurate, it would be able to shoot down a person within 100 meters. If it was accurate within 50 meters, it would be able to take down a person with one arrow. The only advantage of a handgun was that it could fire continuously and was convenient to carry around. Everyone returned to the boat and the team continued forward. At this moment, they were not far from Jinyang. They would definitely reach their destination in another 10 days, and this was even when the boat was not moving that fast. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not have much time to accompany Li Longji to enjoy the scenery. As long as the two of them had time, they would perfect the bank. When lending money, there had to be an evaluation standard. Naturally, the two of them did not expect that the bank would not suffer any losses. After all, business was not something that could be decided by manpower. The most important thing was the management. This was the most difficult part, as it was impossible to prevent others from tampering with the system. After all, when the two of them were constantly perfecting the system, the things that they were worried about would still happen. In fact, the two of them were most worried about the bank's management. After receiving bribes, they would lend money to people who did not have the qualifications to lend money. When the time came, even if they killed the person, it would be useless. They would not be able to get back the money that they lost. Li Longji also knew that the two of them were busy and did not have time to spare. Thus, he spent more time with Wu Huifei. Looking at the scenery of his country and having the company of a beauty, he was very satisfied. Wu Huifei was also waiting for an opportunity. Right now, she could not let people send out letters, nor could she find Zhang Shuo to sow discord. She could only wait until they reached Jinyang. Time passed very quickly. While Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy, and while Li Longji was enjoying himself, 8 days had passed. The team did not take 10 days. At noon today, they could see Jinyang City in the distance. According to the speed of the boat, they would be able to enter the city in 2 hours. At this time, Jinyang was already under martial law. There were not many people coming and going. Occasionally, one would appear. They were either a plainclothes officer or a relative of an official. After all, it would be too fake if the emperor did not see a single person. If he saw a few, it would be even better if he had the opportunity to talk. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also came out of the cabin. Using a telescope, they saw the situation ahead and knew that the local officials did not listen to their orders and made such arrangements in private. Now was not the time to find out who was responsible. The two of them only hoped that the local officials would not be so stupid as to make hundreds of dishes. At that time, Li Longji would think that it was arranged by the two of them. Let's go greet Li Longji first, and let him understand that this is a matter of the local officials. It has nothing to do with us. Just as Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to return to the cabin, he saw that countless people had gathered outside Jinyang City. There were also people hanging things and placing things there. In addition to raising the flag, the only other thing to do was to set off firecrackers. He had to tell Li Longji in advance so that he would not be scared when the firecrackers went off. Chapter 761. Wang Wan took a cotton ball and gave it to everyone. Zhang Jiazhen, Zhang Juling, and the others were not left out, but she did not give it to Zhang Shuo. Before Zhang Shuo could figure out what Wang Wan was busy with, he was frightened by a loud bang and almost fell to the ground, followed by continuous crackling sounds. Li Longji was not frightened. Instead, he happily looked at the welcoming scene. Zhang Shuo helplessly covered his ears with his hands and glanced at Wang Wan, who was snickering at the side. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. She was still a child. Wang Wan did her best to arrange things according to historical situations. Other than the place that she and Zhang Xiaobao specially used to receive Li Longji and prepare for his future wealth, there were not many changes. For example, Li Longji changed Bingzhou to Taiyuan Prefecture, exempted taxes, and so on. After the officials of Jinyang met up with Li Longji's team, the officials had already arranged according to the letter that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had sent in advance, and brought Li Longji around. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan guessed that Li Longji would not be able to go to the prepared place to play today. The two of them found an excuse to go there to check if there were any omissions and asked for leave from Li Longji. As for whether Li Longji could continue to write poems, it was not up to the two of them to decide. It did not matter whether he wrote one more poem or not. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who asked for leave, led their family's protection team, as well as Xiao Bei and the others. They shook off the old man Pai trio, who did not know that the two of them had left, and found the place prepared for Li Longji to play. They took out their long guns and handguns. Under the curiosity of Xiao Bei and the others, they began to shoot at the target that was set up 20 meters away. After a magazine of 11 bullets was emptied, the group of people ran over to watch. Okay, I got it. Next time, aim a little to the left. After Zhang Xiaobao looked at the bullet's point of impact, he concluded that the bullet's trajectory had deviated by quite a bit. Looks like the technology still needs to be improved. Wang Wan also felt that the gun in her hand was a little lacking. Me too, me too. Xiao Bei looked at them curiously. They were so far away, yet they didn't see any arrows being fired, nor did anyone draw a bow. Popping sounds rang out like firecrackers, and the sign that had been erected here was destroyed. She was smart, so she immediately knew that this was a weapon that could shoot from very far away. Okay. This is too heavy. Wait for Big Brother to make you a lighter one. Remember, you can't tell anyone. Zhang Xiaobao reloaded the magazine and said to Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously. I know, but I won't say anything. You can't tell anyone about your family matters. It has to be kept a secret. The other little guys also clamored for one, and Zhang Xiaobao agreed one by one. When he had time, he would make one for them. Of course, it wasn't the gun that he was holding, but a toy made of wood. It was a toy made of animal tendons that was used to pull small stones. It was best to stick a layer of cotton on the outside of the stones. Then the two of them continued to test the gun. They kept the target at a distance of 60 meters and gradually felt the situation of the gun in their hands. Then they thickened the target and replaced the original paper target with a wooden one. From this, they could test the effective range of the pistol bullet. They let someone use a bow and arrow to test. They could shoot someone to death at a certain distance. After testing, the effective range of the pistol was 35 to 37 meters. The main problem was the bullets. After testing the pistol, they began to test the rifle. After adding a scope modified with binoculars, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were both happy and dissatisfied. What made him happy was that the rifle was relatively more accurate than the pistol. What he was not satisfied with was naturally the range. 1,000 meters was out of question, and 800 meters was impossible for the bullets to fly over. The final result was between 250 meters to 300 meters. This distance was worse than a crossbow, but it was better than a normal bow and arrow. The advantage was that the shooting speed was faster, and the bullets were lighter than the arrows, so they could be carried more. More or less. Let's do this first. We can't expect to use it as a long-range sniper rifle. If we can get 300 to 500 of them and equip them for the army, the lethality is still not small. Wang Wan said as she disassembled the rifle. This is the progress of the era. It's much more powerful than the flintlock that first appeared in the Song Dynasty. All right, we can equip the army with this weapon in the future. When the time comes, we will be invincible and invincible. Zhang Xiaobao put the disassembled rifle into his backpack, looking like he was the most powerful person in the world. Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Any good weapon depends on who is using it. In the future, even if we are equipped with it, we can't underestimate the enemy. We can only use it at critical moments. The range of other people's crossbows is not short. If someone gets a few of them, the technology can be considered to have been passed on. It seems like Lu Zhou's side should be more careful in keeping it a secret. It's best if we can transfer it to the underground." Zhang Xiaobao understood the logic behind this as well. It was just like the gunpowder back then. If they had not attacked the enemy, they would not have been taken away by the enemy after losing the war. In the end, the people in Europe were better at using gunpowder than here. They improved their technology in a short period of time. When they attacked the enemy again, the people in Europe could not even put up a fight. After testing the rifle, the duo did not plan to look for Li Longji. Instead, they brought Xiao Bei and the others to swim. This was the place prepared for Li Longji. Nobody was suspicious of the commotion earlier. They thought someone was setting off firecrackers here. "All right, let's change and swim." Zhang Xiaobao called out to the little ones when they arrived at a large lake that was originally here. In order to take advantage of the situation, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had rented a large area here. They modified the original small lake, especially the shore. They had people transport a lot of sand here. This way, during summer, tourists could come here to swim or to have a barbecue on the beach and sunbathe. Li Longji could not say that he would not allow anyone to come to such a large place just because he had swum once. Therefore, he did not allow anyone to come to the courtyard that was prepared for him. However, he could rent out the courtyards beside it. Since the emperor was willing to visit this place, other tourists would surely want to enjoy it as well. When the time came, the price would be very high. If they opened a few open-air stalls and used local wine, they would probably be able to earn back all the money they spent on this trip by next summer. When the person in charge of this place saw Zhang Xiaobao and the others wanting to go into the water, he hastily stopped them. He said that this place was prepared for the emperor and that they could not go in as they pleased. In the end, before Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could say anything, Xiao Bei told the person that he was testing the water for the emperor. Otherwise, if the water turned cold and there was something in the water, it would not be good. The person in charge was speechless and could only watch from aside. He thought to himself, "Is there even a need to test this place? People have already cleaned this place over and over again. Other than the small fishes, there are no other living things in the water. Even the aquatic plants in the lake have been pulled out in advance." The lake that was filled with a lot of sand was very comfortable to use. At first, it was only half a meter high, then it was 1 meter high. In any case, every half a meter, there would be a distance of 20 meters, so people would not be drowned. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan floated in the water and did not go deeper. They were only about 1.5 meters deep, which was just enough to cover the two of them. Xiao Bei and the others were also swimming in this area. Compared to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they could swim in a larger area. Even if it was half a meter deep, they could still swim. Perhaps it was because they had been raised well, but the little ones were not afraid of water at all. They swam in the water, breaststroke and backstroke, very freely. They could even speak casually. 2 days later, Li Longji and the officials were almost done with their work. They finally came to this swimming area. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan persuaded Xiao Bei and the others to come ashore and wait for the barbecue. The two of them accompanied Li Longji and swam in the lake. The specially made swimsuits were worn by the palace maids and concubines that Li Longji had brought along. They were immediately white, making Li Longji want to chase away the guards and Zhang Xiaobao. Seeing him like this, Wang Wan whispered to Zhang Xiaobao, "You haven't seen the world. It's just exposing your arms and legs. Is there a need to be like this?" "That's right. When I was outside in the past, there were many women who didn't wear anything. Don't talk about 3 o'clock. It's not interesting at all. It's really boring. Don't look at me like that." Western women have wrinkles on their faces when they're 18 or 19 years old. You watch over them first. I'll go down and see if there are any shells. Don't clean them all up. We can eat them in a while. Wait, I'll come up after I take a look. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he suddenly noticed that Wang Wan's gaze was not right. After saying this, he dove into the water. He stayed in the water for a full 3 minutes before he came up again and shook his head regretfully. "No, there are only small fish in the water. This bunch of prodigal things. Tell them to leave the shells and clean them all up. Later, when we go up, we'll get people to fish them up from other rivers and put them in the lake. In the future, there will be a special program here. We'll get people to fish them up and then roast them. Each shell will be sold for 1 copper coin." Wang Wan did not mention what had just happened. She also dove into the water to take a look. She scooped up a lot of mud from the lake and found that Xiao Hong's insects had all died. She said, "It seems that a lot of lime has been scattered here. The water can't be drunk." In the end, Li Longji didn't chase away all the other outsiders. Instead, he played a water fight with the concubines for a while. Then he went to the beach to eat barbecue under the sun umbrella. He also praised Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, saying that this place was good. From the looks of it, he seemed to be prepared to play all day and not play the next day. Zhang Xiaobao quickly said, "Your Majesty, there are other things that you haven't enjoyed yet. For the next 3 days, there will be different feelings every day." "Oh, there's more? Can't I do it today?" Li Longji asked. "I can't arrange it. How can I make it in time for many of the programs in one day? There's also a platform diving program. There's also a floating program that takes at least 3 days to complete." Zhang Xiaobao replied. The so-called platform diving was actually only 5 meters. Even if it was horizontally, there would not be any danger. As for the floating program, it cost a lot of money because the river that flowed into the lake was not that big. Although it also flowed down from a mountain, it was impossible to float quickly. Because of this, Zhang Xiaobao asked the people who came in advance to build a small reservoir upstream, blocking the small valley where the river passed through. There was no need to store too much water, as long as it could be flushed twice when the water was released. Because the time was too short, it could only be flushed once. It was controlled by an iron gate. As long as the iron chain was shaken, the gate would open. It took a lot of effort to build this simple reservoir. After Li Longji left, it would be rebuilt. At that time, there would be a group of 20 people who wanted to float. Each person would pay 10 strings of coins. There would probably be a lot of people who would rush to do it. Because there was no rubber, all the small kayaks could only be made of leather. The life jackets were the same. Li Longji had never played with such a thing. After thinking about it, he finally decided to stay for 3 days. If it was good enough, he could build one in Beijing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan actually had something better, which was a translucent swimsuit for women. They were going to take it out and let Li Longji play with his concubines. However, since Wu Huifei was here, they naturally could not take it out. If Wu Huifei, who had a good appearance and figure, wore such a swimsuit, Empress Wang would not have much of an advantage when she went back. Wu Huifei also came today. She was very friendly to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, which made them wonder if she had already thought of a way to make trouble for them. At night, there was a bonfire party. Anyway, it was to let Li Longji stay for a few more days. It would be best if he could write a poem or something. It would be even better if he could write a word about the world's #1 leisure place. For the next 3 days, Li Longji really stayed there. He jumped, drifted, and ate on the water. Li Longji was very happy. When they felt that it was about time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arranged Li Longji's next itinerary to go to Luzhou. Normally, Li Longji would go to Luzhou first and climb Tang Mountain there. This time, he would go there later. Even if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not mention it, Li Longji would not miss it. Thus, the group went there again. This time, they did not go by water. After playing there for a while, they would have to come back and take a boat. While the group was moving, Zhang Shua told Li Longji about the matter of the prefectural soldiers becoming conscripted soldiers. He came up with a plan to get rid of the weak. This was mainly because conscripting soldiers was a bit difficult. If it was not for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the people who died in the war last time would not be compensated. Many people with names on the register were afraid of being conscripted, so they thought of ways to move their families and live in other places. When people were conscripted, they would not be able to find them. Their household registration was very messy. It was also because of this that Li Longji asked Yuan Rong to investigate the household registration. He also gave land to those who did not have a place to live so that they could live in peace. Yuan Rong did a good job on this point. It was almost done, and those who escaped before would not continue to be held accountable. In this matter, Li Longji agreed. The national treasury had more money, and there were fewer people guarding the capital. It was more cost-effective to use the money to conscript soldiers. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard of this matter, the two of them looked at each other speechlessly. The conscripted soldier system is better than the prefectural soldier system, but there are many hidden dangers. If the royal court runs out of money, they won't be able to raise soldiers. Every region has their own soldiers, and the soldiers will listen to whoever pays the money. It seems like we have to talk to Li Longji about this. Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a moment before speaking to Wang Wan. Wang Wan also knew the drawbacks of this system. After all, it was still the era of cold weapons, and there were too many people needed to fight a war. Even though Zhang Shua had cut off many of the border troops, as long as he had money, how could he not secretly raise more soldiers? Besides, the authority of a regional commander was a little too great. After hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, she said, "Why don't we become regional commanders as well? When we have more soldiers, we can deal with anyone who dares to cause trouble. I'm worried that without in Lushan, someone else will jump out. After all, this system itself provides people with such opportunities. I really have to talk to Li Longji and tell him not to let the regions form their own armies. Also, it's best not to conscript soldiers. It'll be troublesome if they don't have money. It's best to use conscripts, just like what we did back then. We used honor to win the hearts of the soldiers, and as long as they persevered for a few years, they would be able to return to work and receive a decent amount of money. If we find someone who is good, we can continue to nurture them. This way, when the soldiers are trained, it will save us a lot of trouble. Right now, soldiers only care about money, and this will probably be the case in the future." "That's fine. We'll talk about it when we return." Zhang Xiaobao nodded. The group traveled for a few more days before arriving at Luzhou. Li Longji had started his business in Luzhou, and he had always treated this place as his blessed land. As such, he felt very comfortable when he arrived. He climbed mountains, wrote poems, and exempted taxes for the region. Historically, he had exempted taxes for 5 years. This time, perhaps because of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the national treasury had a lot more money, so he had exempted taxes for 6 years. An extra year of tax exemption was not a small amount. Luzhou was not small to begin with, and it had to pay a lot of taxes every day. 1 year less meant that the people here had an extra year of development opportunities. After 6 years, it would be difficult for them not to become rich. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally would not miss out on doing business in Tang Mountains. The people who had arrived earlier had already organized the local people to build better mountain paths. They had also built many villas in the mountains, all made of wood. They also provided hunting activities in the mountains, which made Li Longji happy for a few more days. On the way back, Zhang Xiaobao found an opportunity to say to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, Cuckoo and I have an idea, but we don't know if we should say it." There's no harm in saying it. Li Longji felt that something was not right. Otherwise, Zhang Xiaobao would not beat around the bush and ask if he should say it. Since he had already asked, how could he not say it? "Thank you, Your Majesty. Cuckoo and I heard Lord Zhang's idea of recruiting soldiers, and we feel that it is a little inappropriate. At this time, the imperial court is still rich, but if there are several natural disasters in a row, and some palaces and houses are built, the national treasury may be short of money. When that time comes, how will Your Majesty raise the soldiers? Are you going to let the provincial governors raise the soldiers themselves? Then who will the soldiers raised belong to?" Zhang Xiaobao asked about this important matter that concerned the country. Li Longji had originally agreed to Zhang Xiaobao's idea of recruiting soldiers. After hearing what he said, he felt that it made sense. However, if they were to follow the previous method of recruiting soldiers, the people who had finally settled down would run around again, leaving the capital with no soldiers to use. Zhang Xiaobao was also standing to the side. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao oppose his idea, he retorted, "Could it be that Registrar Zhang has a better idea? Of course, there is a good idea, but it can't be used now. I'll talk about it after I settle other matters. Since we can recruit soldiers, we can use them for a few years. After a few years, I think we won't have to continue spending money like this." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already discussed this matter, and that was the compulsory soldiers. This required other supporting methods. The current prefectural soldiers were also compulsory soldiers, but they were slightly different from the ones they had in the past. The compulsory soldiers of the prefectural soldiers had less training, or perhaps none at all. Zhang Xiaobao felt uncomfortable in his heart. If it was someone else who said this, he would not believe it. However, since it was Zhang Xiaobao who said it, it was hard for him not to believe it. After all, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's ability was there for all to see. What he meant was, if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could first tell him, then let him mention it to the emperor, then that would be good. However, Zhang Xiaobao actually said it himself. Therefore, Zhang Shuo wanted Zhang Xiaobao to tell him the details, and then he could find fault with it. As such, he asked Zhang Xiaobao, "I wonder if Registrar Zhang can tell us the details now. Otherwise, if you make a mistake, wouldn't His Majesty be worried?" How could Zhang Xiaobao not know what Zhang Shuo was thinking? Wei Wei shook her head. "I can't say. If I say it now, it will be easily used by people with ulterior motives. When the time comes, we will naturally know. As for His Majesty's worries, this subject and Cuckoo have not caused His Majesty to worry." Zhang Xiaobao's words couldn't be more clear. Zhang Shuo didn't continue to say anything, but instead looked at Li Longji. Li Longji's heart was itching after hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything, he couldn't do anything. He could only nod and say, "Then I will have to trouble you more, Xiaobao." Although he didn't know if this matter was feasible, Li Longji also understood that even if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't do anything wrong, they wouldn't make a big mistake. The two of them still had a sense of propriety. This matter was also known by Wu Huifei. Similarly, she had people keep an eye on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. She wanted to see what the two of them were going to do. She had already spread the news that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were preparing to open a private bank, saying that they could make a lot of money. She also said that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't intend to let anyone else participate and wanted to earn all the money for themselves. In any case, the news was spread with half-truth and half-lies, making it difficult for people to discover the final situation, especially that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were directly under the emperor's control. If they encountered anyone who obstructed them, they could first kill them and then report to the emperor. This made many people feel uncomfortable. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't heard of this rumor yet, because this rumor had started spreading in other places. It was likely that someone in the capital was just talking about it. When it spread to here, perhaps they would encounter it on the way back. The two of them followed the team back to Jinyang. Li Longji, who was supposed to stay for 2 days before going back, became addicted to drifting and insisted on staying for 5 more days. Only then did he board the ship and go with the flow. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also let out a sigh of relief. As long as they returned to the capital, this trip would be complete. When they were on the way back, the people who stayed behind were in charge of managing the 2 places. They had to spread the news that the emperor came to play and was willing to play. When they came, they had to give the people in front time to prepare, so their speed was slow. In addition, they were going against the current, so they didn't need to prepare much when they went back. Moreover, they were going with the current, so the speed of the fleet was very fast. At this time, there was a market near the iron chain bridge that hadn't appeared before. It didn't matter whether it was odd or odd. The commoners who had benefited set up their own stalls in the markets on both sides. When they had nothing to do, they would stroll over. If someone wanted to buy something on the other side of the bridge and didn't want to pay the bridge fee, the commoners would send the goods over. They all paid the annual fee, which was very cheap and casually passed. Seeing this situation, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't help but sigh at the wisdom of people. This was because the two of them had discovered that when merchants were preparing to cross the bridge with goods, they didn't pay the bridge fee for the goods. Instead, they looked for the commoners who had paid the annual fee. If the fee for a batch of goods was 10 copper coins, then they only needed to pay the commoners 3 or 4 copper coins. The commoners would help them transport the goods to the other side, and it would be much cheaper for them to come over themselves. Li Longji also saw this situation and called Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan over. He smiled and asked, "Xiaobao, Cuckoo, do you feel like you miscalculated? You didn't expect this, did you?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan already knew that this would happen. It wasn't a big deal, so this kind of loophole couldn't be blocked. "Your Majesty, it's actually just because there are markets on both sides of the bridge. Just let them do what they want. It's fine as long as they don't fight each other. It won't be long before a portion of the commoners will stop selling goods and wait for merchants to come over. They will help transport goods." Zhang Xiaobao explained to Li Longji what would happen in the future. "Oh, if that's the case, then why are we still building markets on both sides of the bridge?" Li Longji couldn't figure it out, so he asked the two of them again. Wang Wan stood up and explained, "It's because we're about to raise the price of goods crossing the bridge and lower the monthly fee and annual fee. When the time comes, the people who specialize in transporting goods will also increase their income. For example, if a carriage of goods costs 12 copper coins now, it will become 24 copper coins in the future. The people who specialize in transporting goods won't be like before, where they'll just do whatever they can for a little benefit. They'll band together and form an organization. When the time comes, they'll bargain with the merchants. For example, they'll save half of the cost. If the merchants who come here often will consider whether they should pay an annual fee or a monthly fee. We can first make it so that the merchants can only pay a monthly fee and not a yearly fee. That's because many merchants won't be able to pay a yearly fee. We have to let them know that being able to pay a yearly fee is also a kind of happiness. After they pay the monthly fee, they'll definitely transport more goods. Only then will we be able to maximize the benefits. When the time comes, we can slightly raise the monthly fee and introduce an extremely cheap yearly fee. They'll feel that it's not easy to get a yearly fee, so they'll start to pay a yearly fee. Once they get a yearly fee, it'll be their loss if they don't transport goods. If they do, they'll have to think of a way to sell their goods and speed up the process." Li Longji came to a realization and said with a smile, "We understand now. This way, we can collect more taxes. The more frequent the transactions, the more prosperous the economy will be. When the time comes, as long as the local authorities take a portion of the collected taxes to build roads, the merchants will be able to do business faster." "That's a good idea. But won't you guys be making a loss? Li Longji was quite smart now and knew a bit about the relationship between economics and politics. Of course, he also had a book on political economy that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had summarized. Originally, it was only for the inner court to learn. Ever since they talked about opening a bank, Li Longji asked for a copy. He said that he wouldn't let anyone else know about it for 3 years, so he learned it himself. Zhang Shuo was also listening at the side. When he first found out about this, he was very happy. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't earn as much money, so he was able to vent his anger. At this time, when he heard the emperor say that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would be making a loss, he connected the dots and said, "Your Majesty, it's impossible for Zhang Xiaobao and Cuckoo to make a loss. Whether it's a person who sells goods for others or a merchant who is willing to pay a yearly fee, they all have to pay a yearly fee. Originally, people who wouldn't pay so much have already paid, so how can the two of them make a loss?" Lord Zhang is right. Not only that, there's another benefit. It allows us to quickly get back the money we spent on the bridge in advance. Then, we can use it to do other business. Otherwise, if we don't have the money to do business and borrow money from the bank, we'll have to pay interest. Zhang Xiaobao confirmed what Zhang Shuo said and then mentioned another benefit. Wang Wan also said, "Actually, there's another method, but it's not good to use." What method? Li Longji was most willing to listen to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan talk about this kind of thing. He felt that it could help him understand the political economy book. The method is to choose a place that requires many ships. Xiaobao, and I won't have to pay a single copper coin. We'll put up a notice saying that we want to build the bridge here. We'll use our Zhang family and Wang family's reputations as a guarantee. We can also sign a contract with the government. Then we'll tell the merchants coming and going, as well as the people who want to do business in the two markets, that as long as they're willing to take out the money first, then the yearly fee will be half of what it was for others. If it's not cheap, then we won't take advantage of them and will return their money to them. Wang Wan explained. Why isn't that good? Zhang Shuo thought about it and felt that there was nothing wrong with it. It was very fair. Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips and said, "Of course it's not good. We're taking other people's money and not paying them back. Even if we return the money to them in the future, it's still a form of cheating them. Otherwise, if we don't have money, how much interest would we get if we borrow money?" Therefore, the imperial court added a law, and that is, this matter must be written in the contract. There can't be any loopholes. When the time comes, if the merchants who used other people's money don't meet the requirements, not only will they have to return the capital, they will also have to pay a very high interest. Otherwise, they will have to follow the contract. Zhang Shuo, Li Longji, and the others were shocked. They didn't think that things could be done like this. It was really too magical. If Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't say it personally, they really wouldn't have thought that there was such a method. Yu Wenrong's eyes lit up. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as if he was looking at two treasures. Even if the two of them had just injured his people, he didn't care. Even if his people were dealt with by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in Xian Kai County, he couldn't resent them. Who asked Feng Changgong to clearly know about Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's reputation and still be unconvinced and want to go against them? How good could it be? Yu Wenrong looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, Tang Dynasty has Registrar Zhang and County Deputy Wang. Perhaps the law can be improved a lot, especially when it comes to economics." That's right. Xiao, Bao, Cuckoo. Do you have any more tricks? Let me hear it again. Li Longji agreed with Yu Wenrong's words and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan, and Wang Wan returned a look that said, "Go ahead." Zhang Xiaobao said, "Of course, there are many tricks. There are all kinds of tricks, but they are always the same. For example, the one just now can't be considered a trick. After all, the people who were cheated didn't suffer many losses. Another method is the one that the Ning family secretly formed when Lu Zhou was still around, using something that was impossible to earn money as an excuse to cheat the people of their money was a real scam. If it was changed, it would be the same as the previous one. It could be like this. They wanted to build a bridge in this place, and then let the people invest in it. They said that they could give the people money every month. Then, they used the money to invest. Part of the money earned is given to the people, and the rest is kept. However, they are afraid that the investment will fail. If that happens, not only will they not be able to pay back the people's money, but the scammer might also run away. Anything else? It's not considered a scam, but it can really make money. Yuan Rong was fascinated by the story and asked again. Also, when the bank is opened, there will be an approval process when lending money. For example, if someone wants to build a workshop but doesn't have the money, they can directly borrow from the bank. The bank won't lend money immediately because there's no collateral for the project. Even if they lend money, it will only be a small portion. Even if the person who wanted to borrow money invested some money first, the bank wouldn't give him too much money. However, if he used the money invested to buy a piece of land in a good location, and then used the land and the upcoming project as a loan, he would be able to borrow more money. Because of this, the bank wouldn't lose money. This can be considered as having two collateral. As long as the bank manages it well, it can be considered a win-win situation. There are loopholes in this area that can be exploited. Perhaps no one knows about it yet, but in the future, Cuckoo and I will need to regulate it. When the bank lends money, it won't give out all the money, but part by part. If the person who wants to borrow money is preparing to do something, then the bank can only give them the money after they use it. Otherwise, there will be trouble. This is a very common thing, so we will regulate it in the future. Zhang Xiaobao explained this matter to the people who were listening attentively. Then, he talked about many loopholes in other areas. Hearing this, everyone was secretly satisfied and learned a lot. Of course, if they wanted to use it again, it was impossible, because Zhang Xiaobao would keep an eye on it. When they were about to return to Beijing, several important places around Beijing had already opened banks. The procedures were approved very quickly, and to be precise, there were no restrictions. This made Li Longji very happy. He hoped that he could quickly occupy more territories through the economic war. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan weren't happy at all, because they discovered that there was one department missing, which was the CBRC. If they opened a bank here, other people could also learn to open a bank. Without supervision, there would be trouble. Therefore, after the two of them had dinner, they found Li Longji, who wanted to sleep with Wu Huifei. They also called the officials who followed them and told them about the supervision. A bank without supervision was a huge bomb, and a lot of things could happen, especially when it came to external lending. This must be regulated. Even if there were still loopholes, it would reduce a part of it. Li Longji was worried because if they wanted to establish a bank supervision committee, they needed people who were very proficient in this area. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what others were doing. The person who was proficient in this area was naturally Zhang Xiaobao, but Zhang Xiaobao also invested a part of his money in the bank. It was impossible for him to supervise himself, but if others were to supervise him, who could bypass Zhang Xiaobao? Without supervision, there was no guarantee that the bank would really act according to the interest rate, and there was no guarantee that the bank wouldn't use other methods to extort money from the depositors. Just like being an official, you can't let all the officials in a place be local. Of course, Sanshui County was an exception, and the place where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were located was also an exception. Li Longji and the others were worried that other people would follow Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's example and use the interest rate to compete. Then, they would use the money to do other things. They weren't afraid that they would make money, but they were afraid that they would lose money. Once something happened, the bank's credibility would be gone, and who would dare to deposit money in the bank in the future? Xiaobao, can't you keep the bank supervision and administration committee locked up while you're running the bank? Li Longji was still very confident in Zhang Xiaobao and felt that he wouldn't use his authority to gain benefits for himself. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head seriously and replied, "No, definitely not. This has nothing to do with my character, but it has to be done this way. If I don't do this, I won't be able to regulate it. No one can guarantee that they won't be tempted by so many opportunities. First, we have to eliminate this aspect from a root. For example, in my family, when it comes to taking and using money, there needs to be two people. One is responsible for managing the money, but can't use the money. The other is responsible for using the money, but can't manage the money. The two of them supervise each other, and if it's a large amount of money, it needs to be further approved by the higher-ups. Using this to prevent one person from managing the money and accounts is tempting others to make mistakes. Once a mistake is made, it will be my family's responsibility, not the person in charge of the money. Then what should we do? Who can supervise it? How should we regulate it? Li Longji was worried. I can help to train some people. Right now, Cuckoo and I are running the bank. For a certain period of time, we won't play any tricks. This is something that I can guarantee. We will be in charge of managing the bank for the time being, but we can't let other people open a bank right away. After I've trained them, I'll make sure that they can deal with loopholes and not make too big of a mistake. Then, I'll allow other people to open a bank. Those who open a bank privately will be banned. Chapter 762. When the Great Tang started its autumn harvest, Tubo was also having its autumn harvest. However, this year's harvest was too little. In the end, the locusts were finally exterminated. As for how many of them laid eggs in the soil, it was not clear. The domestic animals all ate well, but when the Tubo nobles saw the pitiful amount of barley and rice in the fields, they wanted to cry, but had no tears. During the autumn harvest, the slaves were much more relaxed. A large amount of food was eaten by the locusts, so they did not have to work as hard as before. However, none of the slaves were happy about this. They knew that if there was not enough food, their masters would not starve to death. They could only work hard. The Tubo commoners were also not happy. After the harvest, they still carefully searched the fields to see if they had missed any food. Some even tried their best to find wild vegetables. Even if the wild vegetables were already old, they would still dig them out and save them for when there was no food to eat. The entire Tubo people were in a bleak state. The people who bought Han Xuanfeng's casino and lottery tickets were also miserable. There was no more food, so they did not dare to spend like before. They were all waiting to buy some food from the Great Tang. At Jinchuan, Serenade was also commanding people to harvest. When he came here, he had people replant many things. They were all wheat and barley that grew faster than rice. Although there was also a locust plague here, it was not serious. The few locusts that flew over were quickly wiped out. He also knew about the situation at Jinchuan and felt very fortunate. It was all thanks to Han Xuanfeng's words. Therefore, during this period of time, he ran over to Han Xuanfeng's place every day. Han Xianfeng only reported to Yingzhou for a while before returning to lead the slaves to carry out a large-scale construction here. At the same time, he was training the army at a place further away from Pengzhou. Out of the 7,000 slaves, he selected 2,000 strong men. Without weapons, they would first train in formation and then work. Working could also train their bodies. However, in the past, the slaves could not eat enough to keep up with the work. Now that they did not have to worry about food, all of them worked very hard. Naturally, their bodies were strong. Originally, there was no need to specifically wear sandbags while running. The soldiers here only needed to carry their weapons, leather armor, and food. They were already heavy enough. During military training, as long as they picked up their weapons, they would be carrying weights. The slaves didn't have many decent weapons, so Han Xianfeng could only ask someone to make sandbags for the slaves to wear. The 2,000 people had to run twice a day for 20 miles each time. Before dinner, Han Xianfeng led 2,000 people and started running. As they were running, Serenade came looking for them. He rode on his horse and followed Han Xianfeng at the same time as he said, "Brother Han Xianfeng. Today, someone from Tubo came to look for me, saying that they want to buy back the land I sold to them. I only need to pay 70% of the original price, but I need to pay with food. Do you think I still want the land over there?" Han Xianfeng waved his hand and continued to run. Song Nigan didn't understand what Han Xianfeng meant. Did he not want to talk, or did he not want to talk anymore? So he asked, they even said that as long as I go, they are willing to sell me slaves. I don't have many slaves here. If they are willing to sell, I think it's better to buy them. What do you think? Wait for me to finish running. There's no hurry. Han Xianfeng was also carrying sandbags. When he was about to run 20 miles, his body was clearly exhausted. Moreover, it was very strenuous for him to breathe. Song Nigan stood beside him and told him to talk. After saying this, Han Xianfeng's footsteps became disordered. Song Nigan obediently shut his mouth. After finishing his run, he handed Han Xianfeng a bowl of water and waited for Han Xianfeng to catch his breath before continuing. After drinking a bowl of water, Han Xianfeng felt much better. He massaged his legs and said to Song Nigan, "We can't ask for that land anymore. I reckon there will be a locust plague next year. Besides, if you go back, do you think they will let you go so easily? If they are willing to sell the slaves, we can buy them. As long as they are willing to sell, we can buy as many as they have. However, we can't give them too high a price. They are currently in need of food. 1 dan of food worth 1,000 can be sold as 2 dan or 5 dan. The little Gongzi has already made preparations and is gathering food for the entire Jiannan circuit. You must not act on your own accord. You can freely enter and leave Pengzhou. If you transport the food and sell it to the Tubo people, the little Gongzi will let you make up for the loss." The little Gongzi said that this year is very important. If we control it well, Tubo will not be able to recover from this setback. When we want to deal with them in the future, it will be easy. If we let them get through this easily, we will have to spend a lot of effort in the future. Song Nigan really did want to buy food from the great Tang and sell it at a high price in Tubo. That way, he could make a lot of money. He didn't expect that this idea couldn't be realized. It seemed that the great Tang didn't just want to make money by dealing with Tubo. There should also be political benefits involved. After hearing Han Xianfeng's words, Song Nigan replied, "Then I will contact them to buy slaves." "What's the price?" "According to the weight. If a slave weighs 100 jin, then give them 200 jin of food. No more, no less." This time, Han Xianfeng didn't listen to Zhang Xiaobao's instructions and said according to his own thoughts. Song Nigan didn't understand. Why do we have to calculate by weight? This price is indeed enough to buy a slave, especially now that Tubo is lacking in food. I reckon that they will be willing to sell food that is slightly lighter than a slave. After all, slaves still need to eat food. That's because if the weight of food is not as heavy as a slave, they might as well kill the slave and let other slaves eat it. Furthermore, it's better than just eating food. That's why I told you to prepare double the amount of food. This way, they will feel that it's not worth it to kill slaves and let other slaves eat it. Naturally, they will be willing to trade. Han Xianfeng said something that made people feel helpless, but it really happened. Compared to hard work, perhaps animals were more valuable. When people were hungry, it wasn't impossible for people to eat people. When Han Xianfeng spoke, his voice wasn't soft. After the slave beside him heard it, he seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help but tremble a few times. Song Nigan also nodded helplessly. "I knew it would be like this. Then we will use food to trade for slaves. If they are willing to sell horses, cows, and sheep, do we have to use 3 times the weight to trade? Maybe we can trade for cows and sheep, but if we trade for horses, once we trade for them, they will have to sell to us. Then we might as well trade for them ourselves. Why do we have to buy from you? I will write a letter to the young master and young lady and ask them. Now, you should prepare some food first. But we have to agree that 3/4 of the slaves you trade for must be sold to me. I can give you 10% more than what you trade for. I have a use for slaves." Han Xianfeng thought for a moment and agreed to the trade, but he had to have a choice. After Song Nigan and Han Xianfeng finished their discussion, they went to meet the people sent by Tubo to discuss the slave trade. They were waiting for more people to arrive. In Lu Zhou's mansion, Zhang Pingwang was packing his luggage. He was going to leave soon, and he also brought the rental tax here with him. When he returned, he would be able to arrange another official position for him. The person who would replace him had already been decided and was on his way. It would probably take a few days for him to arrive. After looking at everything and having someone pack them up, Zhang Pingwang didn't want to stay in the house anymore. He led his little attendant out again and walked on the widest street in Lu Zhou's mansion. His eyes kept looking at the scenery around him as though he wanted to remember everything. "Master, why do I suddenly not want to leave? It's better to stay here. The food is good, the clothes are good, and the accommodation is good. Moreover, we don't have to worry about the people causing trouble." The attendant had the same thoughts and said what was on his mind. "Sai, it's precisely because this place is good that there are more people who want to occupy this place. If we don't leave, how will others be willing? Moreover, we'll get a lot of money if we leave this place. When we return, we can buy more land. It's just troublesome to transport it." Zhang Pingwang sighed. When he looked at the scenery on both sides of the street again, he remembered more carefully. He didn't want to forget what this place was like. He didn't know when he would come back in the future. Unless he was no longer an official, he wouldn't be sent here even if he was sent away. The two of them talked as they walked. At the same time, they kept smiling at the people who saw them. They were about to leave. It was not easy to see such people in other places. Last month, they didn't think much of it, but now they were very reluctant to leave. While they were walking, they suddenly heard the sound of firecrackers in front of them. The crackling sound was not soft at all. From time to time, 2 firecrackers would fly up and explode in the sky. "Let's go and take a look." Zhang Pingwang, who didn't know what was going on, called out to his attendant and sped up. It wasn't just the two of them. The people who didn't have anything to do also curiously ran over. This shouldn't be a wedding. If it was a wedding, it shouldn't be in the morning. It should be in the evening when it was almost dark. Could it be that a shop opened? But all the shops here were occupied. No one would casually sell. With all kinds of doubts, people gathered over there. When they reached the place, Zhang Pingwang looked at the plaque and muttered, "Great Tang Bank, what is this place for? Could it be a pawn shop?" The attendant shook his head, indicating that he didn't know. Soon, the sound of firecrackers faded away, and the manager of the Great Tang Bank walked out. He first bowed to the crowd, and then began to talk. He talked about the use of the bank, and it was better to deposit money and lend money. He emphasized the matter of foreign currency exchange. After the manager of the bank finished speaking, the surrounding people finally understood. So this was what he was doing. This was of no use to ordinary people. It was better to have some money at home. There was no need to leave it in the bank and let others take away a portion of it. The eyes of the businessmen lit up. This was a good thing. In the future, as long as they went to the same bank, they could withdraw the money they had saved here. They didn't have to worry about wasting time. Even if the certificate was lost, they wouldn't be afraid. There was a special mark on the certificate, and no one could take it out. This involved the cut corresponding to the number of the bill issued by the bank at the border. Unless he was stupid and told others about the cut, or someone in the bank leaked this information. It was probably impossible. After all, the people who checked the cut were sent by the Zhang family and the Wang family. As long as the corresponding code book was not lost, they didn't have to worry about it. Zhang Pingwang was also very happy. This was because the people in the bank had just mentioned that from now on, not only could they carry out foreign exchange for merchants, they could also deposit the tax they had to pay to the government and then take it out and hand it over when they went to the capital. "Master, this will save a lot of trouble. After all, it's easy to make mistakes when escorting money. What if someone intercepts it? Now, we just need to put the tax we have to pay this year in the bank and put the money we get. We only need to escort a part of the food. Moreover, the food will not be sent all the way to the capital. When it reaches the east of Jiangnan, we will give it to them. They will send the food to the capital. Master, should we do this?" Zhang Pingwang's attendant said happily. The last sentence was to ask if they should put their money in the bank. After all, they had to pay 2% of the annual fee. Of course, we have to put it in the bank. The Zhang family and the Wang family are really capable to make such a business. Oh, this is one of their rice shops. Zhang Pingwang didn't think much about it. 2% of the fee was really not much. Moreover, it was a year's fee. If they went back quickly, they could reach the destination in 3 months. It was a little more money, but it was better than bringing it with him. The merchants began to gather around and carefully asked the manager of the bank where there was a similar Tang bank so that they could prepare in advance. Some merchants from the east of Jiangnan also asked if there would be a Tang bank on Xinyuan Island in the future. At that time, they could directly put their gold in the bank and come back here to get it, saving the trouble of transporting it back and forth. Of course, copper coins were not allowed. Unless they wanted to be punished, who would dare to make copper coins and deposit them there? At this time, Xinyuan Island, which was the focus of the merchants, was in the midst of a war. Those who had been to Xinyuan Island had seen how good the Tang Empire was. After returning, they began to spread the news in their own tribes. Not only did they tell others what they had seen and heard, they also distributed the gifts that the Tang Empire had given them. In this way, the people of this tribe yearned for the Tang Empire even more. When the Tang Empire sent troops and ships to support them at a place on the shore, they joined forces with several other tribes to deal with the people who wanted to drive the Tang Empire away. The war on the island had never stopped. This group of people who yearned for the Tang Empire not only received things provided by the Tang Empire, but also had better weapons than the other side, although these weapons had to be exchanged with local products. In the enemy camp, there was a person sitting there. His eyes were looking at the map drawn by the people on his side. His brows were slightly furrowed, as if he was thinking about something unhappy. Beside him, there were 2 beautiful women massaging his shoulders. The house he was in was the best. The other people's houses could only shelter them from the wind and rain. Just as he was looking at the map, a person suddenly came in and spoke to him very respectfully. Takeshita-kun, they are fighting again. This time, the arrows they used are more powerful than the last time. There's also that thing called fireworks, which blew up many of our people. Takeshita-kun, when will the reinforcements from your country arrive? If they don't come soon, we won't be able to hold on. The other tribes that have allied with us don't want to continue fighting like this. Even if the Tang Empire you mentioned is a small country, we can't beat them. We still want to continue exchanging with them. In fact, this person also didn't understand why Takeshita-kun said that the Tang Empire was a small country that existed by relying on Japan. In the end, the Tang Empire ships circled the island outside, while Japan's ships couldn't come over. Takeshita-san's eyes finally moved away from the map. He looked at the person who came in and said, "The Tang Empire is a small country that was originally a vassal of Japan. Not only did they send a ship to occupy this place, they also allied with another country, Silla. It is very easy for Japan to deal with a small country like the Tang Empire, but we have to be on guard against Silla. Do you understand? A small country like the Great Tang isn't trying to be nice to you. They're giving you the worst things, things that our Japan doesn't even want. But they're taking away your good things. As a country, we should help you so that you won't be bullied." The person who was listening to Sanshiro Takeshita's words kept nodding. He thought to himself that there was actually a country called Silla. The Tang Dynasty, this small country, must be on good terms with Silla while also submitting to Japan. Such a country was really too hateful. Although it was hateful, the matter here still had to be resolved. Hence, this person asked Takeshita-san, "Takeshita-kun, then what should we do now?" Yes, there are not only a few tribes on your side on the island. If you continue to head over there, there will be more tribes. Send someone to tell them that as long as they come over to help defeat this small country, the Great Tang, our Japan will be able to find a chance to restrain Shinlua. I will send you our domestic exquisite porcelain, better than what you are using now. There is also beautiful silk, better than what the small country of the Tang Empire has exchanged with you. Takeshita-san looked as if he had a card up his sleeve. The person who came in kept nodding. He agreed and went out to send people. Takeshita Sanshiro heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the messy map in front of him and thought to himself, if only Japan was really a country, I wouldn't have to lie here. I would have sent troops from my country to deal with the Tang Empire. Unfortunately, they lost again and again in the naval battle. They lost so much that they don't dare to fight the Tang Empire anymore. They can only submit to the Tang Empire. Takeshita Sanshiro planned to find more helpers. Lu Zhou's people also thought the same. They brought people who could communicate with the other party and began to travel on the sea by boat. They stayed close to the sea and made contact with the tribes on the island. Every time they arrived at a tribe, they would send silk and local specialties that were not available here as a sign of friendship. Then, they raised the matter of future exchanges. The people of the tribes here were not all so fierce that they would kill without saying anything. Many of them were willing to exchange goods with the Tang Empire. Moreover, they had promised to send troops to help in the war. However, they wanted benefits. After helping, they had to give the benefits. Naturally, Lu Zhou's people would not refuse. They even gave a portion of the goods in advance. This made these local tribesmen very happy. The Tang Empire's fleet was slightly faster than Takeshita Sanshi's. Hence, they obtained a result. After Takeshita Sanshi's people went over to persuade the tribesmen who received the goods from the Tang Empire looked at the tribesmen sent by the tribesmen who asked them to help in the war and capture them as trophies. One side came on a big boat and gave the tribesmen something in advance. The other side did not even have a small boat. They came on land and did not take anything. There was no need to ask who was stronger and who was weaker. Moreover, the things in their hands were theirs. Under such circumstances, there was a reversal in the war. The tribesmen who had joined forces to drive the Tang Empire's army and merchants away were finally attacked from both sides. The more they fought, the more they were defeated. They could only hide in the mountains or the forest. After a few battles, Takeshita Sanshiro was slightly injured. He also hid in the forest and swore to fight back. He said many encouraging words. However, apart from the tribesmen who listened to him in the beginning, the other tribesmen who joined forces became less and less convinced of his words. The Great Tang did not have to spend too many resources to successfully occupy the area outside the forest. Then, they organized people here and began to reclaim the land. They brought good tools from Great Tang and gathered the wood and herbs that were hundreds of years old here. Then, they shipped them to Lu Zhou one ship after another. The cleared land was used for the local people to plant cotton. The coconut oil was also refined. The price they paid was less than 1/50th of the value of the goods they brought back. For example, a piece of silk that was very common in the Tang Empire and a ham made from pork that was not a wild boar. These things were not valuable in the Tang Empire, but the people on Luzon Island did not know that. As long as they felt that they did not have something, they would consider it a good thing, especially the various spices and ceramics that were still very rare. The merchants of the Jiangnan East Road were active again. Some of them traveled between the Tang Empire and Xinyuan Island, while others traveled along the shore and went farther away, hoping to find more useful resources. Time passed in a hurry. When the new year was approaching, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan received a large ingot of gold sent from Xinyuan Island. It was so big that it was almost the size of a vat of water. It was not obtained from an exchange. It was a tribute to Zhang Xiaobao from the locals. Although the natives of Xinyuan Island could still talk about the Tang Empire, they only knew about Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce, which was run by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. To them, it was right to listen to the Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, when Lu Zhou's men mentioned when the new year would be here, how lively it would be here, and how they wanted to find good things on the island as gifts for the little young master and the little lady, the locals worked together to refine this large ingot of gold. This ingot of gold was set off early. It was not until the new year that it was sent to Buxin County. Little Bei and the others, who knew what gold was, opened their mouths in shock. Little Bei stroked the ingot of gold that was taller than her as she said honestly, "Wow, this is such a large ingot of gold." It's as big as a rock. If it's made into jewelry for me, I won't be able to wear it. Little Hai, who was standing at the side, looked at the ingot of gold and said, "They're so stupid. With such a large ingot of gold, I reckon the ship will leak. They don't even know how to break it down. This ingot of gold weighs at least 30 tons, right? I wonder where they got it from." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not weigh this ingot of gold, but it did not look small. Even if it was not pure, its density could reach 18 grams per cubic centimeter. Moreover, it was irregular. When the time came, they could only throw it into the pond and see how much the water level rose before they could judge. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan felt that they had seen a lot of the world, but they had never seen such a large ingot of gold. Both of them touched it with their hands. This was not a problem of how much money it was, but this ingot of gold could scare people. It was just like how many people did not put their money in the bank, but put it under their bed. It was a lot, and it was very comfortable to look at. Xiao Bao, I reckon that those tribes took out all the gold and ores they had accumulated over the years and sent them to us. I think this is at least 1 cubic meter, which is close to 20 tons of pure gold, and 18 to 19 tons of impure gold. Wang Wan felt the coolness of the ingot of gold and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and said, I reckon it's not light. 1 cubic meter is just 1 meter in length, width, and height. This height is definitely more than 1 meter, and I reckon it's 3 meters tall. It's taller than Little Bay and the others, and its width is not narrow either. We must try it. When the time comes, it can be used as the treasure of the bank. If there is a sudden run on the bank one day, as long as we let them see this ingot of gold, they will believe in the strength of our bank. Yes, we must keep it for our own bank, not the Tang Bank. While they were talking, Xiao Yuan had already opened his mouth and was looking for an angle to bite this ingot of gold to see if it was real. However, he could not find a place to bite, so he said to Zhang Xiaobao, Brother, can you ask someone to separate this ingot of gold? Then let me have a look. I have bitten gold and silver before, so I will know if it is real or not. When we go back, I will dig it out for you and let you have a taste. This year, we specially sent gold as a gift. It's not called gold, but called it a dish. It's called red prawn stewed on a golden plate. Let's see who can afford it. Zhang Xiaobao touched Xiao Yuan's head and also joked. When Xiao Yuan heard that they were going back, he was very happy. However, just when he was happy, he said, We have to change places again. We can't stay in any place for long. I don't know if the people in Buixin County will send us off like they did in Izhou and send us dozens of miles away. No, this time we have to leave secretly. County magistrate, he will be the last to leave. He will be in charge of the handover procedures. We will leave first. We can't disturb the people anymore. Zhang Xiaobao was also afraid. If they had to go to a place again, no one would be able to stand it. The main thing was public opinion. In case someone found trouble in this regard, they had to hide. Even if they knew that after they left, the people would send them a mass apology. Xiaozhu looked at her brother and sister and suddenly asked, Where's the next place? Can't my parents come with us? Wang Wan nodded. We haven't decided on the next place. We originally planned to go to Ciizhou, but after thinking about it, it's better to go to the northeast. It's not very stable there. It's easy for something to happen there in the future. Besides, there's a lot of ginseng there that we need to use as medicine. Our family still has to stay in Luoyang for a year and wait for Zhangshua to continue. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. They are actually going to hold a pilgrimage at the beginning of spring next year. I believe Zhangshua will be there soon. You have to follow us. The northeast is very cold. The children nodded, indicating that they understood. They were already used to running around. After all, they had such a family. When they enjoyed benefits, they had to give something in return. The day of departure finally arrived. In order to prevent the people from noticing, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not directly take the children's house. They even left behind the large piece of gold, waiting for the people behind them to transport it away. The group secretly left in batches under the cover of the night. Zhang Xiaobao's group left first, followed by the others. At daybreak, the people only knew that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had left. All of them felt helpless and sad. Since they could not find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they found Yi Wei and questioned him, asking him why he did not warn them. What could Yi Wei say? Since they did not allow him to warn them, how could he dare speak of it casually? He could only keep explaining that he did not know either. He had seen a letter left behind when he woke up in the morning, and it was too late to warn them. In fact, the people did not specially come to question Yi Wei. They were waiting for Yi Wei to become impressive so that they could send him off. After so many years, it was not easy to meet a good official. The people gathered to press their handprints. They unrolled a white silk cloth and found someone to write the words of the people. Then, the people pressed their handprints on it. There were 3 copies. One was for Yi Wei, and the other 2 were for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Although the 2 of them were together, they still needed 2 copies. Yi Wei looked at the white silk cloth as the people took turns to press their red handprints on it. He looked up and did not let his tears fall. He muttered, "My life was worth it." When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were returning to Luoyang, they received a letter from Tubo. It was written by Han Xianfeng. In the letter, he first said that he wished Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, as well as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan families, a happy new year. He then said that he would not be returning. Mi Fan and Wang Wan were the same. They were preparing to spend the new year there. He hoped that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could send some Tubo specialties back home to make his family happy. He then told Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan that Tubo did not have many livestock to exchange this year. However, there was a lot of saffron, and they had basically bought them all. There were also slaves. The slaves that were exchanged with food had already increased the number of slaves to 34,000. He said that there would be more next year, especially after it snowed. He asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to think of a way to settle them down. They could not let so many people stay in Jinchuan County. It seems that Tubo will not have a good time this year. They probably won't send any more troops. Otherwise, they won't have enough food and morale. Once they come, they will be defeated. Our plan can continue. Zhang Xiaobao put away the letter and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan let out a long breath and said, "It's good that there is no war. To be honest, I don't want to fight either. As long as there is a war, people will die. Although a general should be used to seeing life and death, I still don't feel good. Think of more ideas and try your best to use other methods to take Tubo into Tang Empire's territory. Back then, Tibet was conquered, and the losses were huge. Yes, I will try my best to solve it through economic means. If it really doesn't work, we can buy land from them. Without land, they will gradually weaken. Once we have arranged for the slaves to be bought, we can make a move on their population." Zhang Xiaobao did not like people dying, especially people on his side. He decided not to use force to solve the problem. However, force could not be lacking. They must have a strong force as a deterrent to let other methods continue. "Xiaobao, do you think Li Longji can send us to the northeast? Isn't the northeast very chaotic now? The local people there are not easy to govern." Wang Wan asked about other things. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, "No problem, Li Longji will definitely agree. When the time comes, we just need to beat around the bush. Didn't we say that we were going to Xiaizhou? This time, we will let him think that we are using Xiaizhou as a cover. As long as he is not sure, our plan can continue. It's best to go to Dalian in the northeast. There's a sea there. We won't go to Gourd Island or Jinzhou for now. Dalian is close to Shandong. Don't think that it will take a long time to get there by land. It's very convenient to go by sea. It's a straight line." Wang Wan nodded. "We need to discuss this properly when we get back. Li Longji has become smarter. It won't be easy to trick him anymore. He probably just wants to win this one time. Is there a place called Fushun in the northeast that has a lot of coal? It's said that there is the most amber there. Let's go there and take a look. Dalian should be a small fishing village right now. There are not many people in the northeast, so who would want to run to a fishing village? We can add one more person. If we continue north, Lilongji won't care about Fajing. Let's get the Russians here. What's their name again? When we get back, we can take over Fajing as well. It doesn't matter who takes over. Why care about political power? As long as the people can live a good life, the great Tang can do it as well. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he looked toward the northeast. There had once been an extremely powerful country there. There had been both friendship and enmity, but in the end, it was just a matter of interests. Wang Wan also looked over. Suddenly, she blinked and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, do you know the shortest way to get to North America? We can go from there to the place we bought in America. That'll save us a lot of trouble. There's no need to take such a long and dangerous detour. What do you think?" Zhang Xiaobao froze for a moment before vigorously nodding. "I think so. That's right. There's a strait there. It's very convenient to get there. It's also very convenient to get to South America. Both sides are very close." If Zhang Xiaobao hadn't heard Wang Wan mention it, he wouldn't have thought of this matter. He was influenced by his habitual thinking that the appearance of the Age of Discovery was the discovery of America by the Europeans. Therefore, he had always planned to take the ship there and look for all kinds of seeds to grow back and make delicious food. But now he realized that Russia was close to America. It was much more comfortable and less dangerous than going to the sea. Ships had to be built. There would definitely be naval battles in the future. But getting potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, and corn seeds first did not conflict with building ships. Chapter 763. Throw the handkerchief. Gently place it behind the little kid. Everyone don't tell him. "Little Bei, why do you always know when it's placed behind you?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's team was about to reach Luoyang. The group of children gathered together and played with the handkerchief. It was normal for them to play, but what was abnormal was that every time someone placed the handkerchief behind Little Bei would immediately discover it and chase after them with the handkerchief. Little Yuan, who was good at calculations, was puzzled. Could it be that his sister also knew how to calculate? Or was it the kind of calculation that was done by hand? When Little Bei noticed it again, she could not help but ask. Little Bei was still hoping to win a few more times. She pursed her lips and did not say a word. The power of democracy was great. When the other children realized that they were always losing, they had no choice but to join forces to interrogate Little Bei. Brother and sister were right. There's no justice in this world. It's just that some people are more powerful than others. Therefore, many people are dissatisfied and want to deal with one person together. Little Bei was suddenly isolated as she pouted. Little Yuan gave a look that said, "Of course. This is what it means by the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. When the beach is higher than the shore, it will be swept away by the current. When one's actions are higher than others, they will be trampled on. The rafters that stick out will rot first. Is there a need to ask such simple logic?" The other children nodded in agreement. "All right, you win. I'll tell you, but I'll only tell my sister Xiaozhu." Little Bei's eyes darted around as she said, "I object." Little Yuan spoke up again. "Then I'll tell Big Man and Little Man." Little Bei mentioned another two people. "Then what should I do?" Little Yuan realized that something was amiss. "Humph. You and my brother can forget about knowing. You were the ones who spoke first. Didn't you say that the rafters that stick out will rot first? Even if I lose it, I won't let you get it." Little Bei blinked her large eyes, looking as though she had succeeded in her scheme. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had come to find the children to practice calligraphy, happened to hear the children's words as they looked at each other. "Xiaobao, did we teach them this?" Wang Wan was very surprised. Xiao Bei had a secret, but in the end, the others joined forces to force him. Before the leader could take advantage of him, Xiao Bei had divided the other party. Many adults couldn't see clearly, but it appeared in a group of little fellows. It was too hard to understand. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head blankly. I didn't teach them. It's not time yet. I'm going to teach them when they're in their freshman year. Could it be that they're self-taught? Zhang Xiaobao did not intend to raise Xiao Bei and the others into obedient babies. He wanted to tell them that the sky was blue, the water was blue, the mountains were green, and the human heart was kind. However, he felt that they were still young and could not understand too many calculations. He wanted to wait until they were a little older before he could let them understand that the essence of this world was benefits. Of course, this benefit was not only material, but also spiritual. For example, doing something good and being in a good mood was also a kind of benefit. At this moment, he felt that there was no need to go through so much trouble. Xiao Bei and the others had already understood. The other party was still exchanging benefits. Little Zhu smiled when she learned the secret. Little Yuan leaned over and asked, Sister, what's the plan? What benefits can you give me? I can't tell you for free, right? Little Zhu stated her conditions. I'll give you 2 lollipops. Little Yuan compromised regretfully. 3. Xiao Zhu stretched out 3 fingers. Little Yuan waited for a few breaths before he turned to Big Man and Little Man. I'll give either of you a lollipop if you tell me. 2. Big Man and Little Man said at the same time. Zhang Chong, Zhang Gang, and Zhang Fang, who had changed their names, were very anxious. Zhang Chong, who had changed his name, was the oldest. He was recognized by Lu Zhou. Zhang Gang and Zhang Fang were Chong Hu's children. In the past, they used their own names. However, ever since they were taken care of, they changed their names as a form of protection. They would change their names back when they were adults. They felt that they were being isolated. They looked at each other and quickly formed a small group. They were ready to strike at the right time and were waiting for an opportunity. Little Yuan pondered for a moment before he looked at Little Hai and said, Brother Little Hai, why don't you give me a lollipop? I'll tell you when the time comes. You guys play. The 3 of us are not playing, Zhang Chong said on behalf of the siblings. As a result, a group in a game was facing disbandment under such circumstances. Then let's change to another one. Actually, it's not a big deal. The windows of the cabin next to us are glass. What are we going to play? Little Bei said helplessly. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also felt helpless. This group of little fellows had become smart. Zhang Xiaobao stepped out from the corner and said to his younger siblings, Let's go. I'll bring you guys to play something more interesting. Let's see who can rinse the thickest ink brush today. The so-called rinsing brush was to write. After writing a word, one was allowed to rinse the brush in the ink basin next to them. If one did not write well, one was not allowed to rinse the brush. Whoever had the thickest ink in the basin in the end would win. Not only was this a waste of ink, but the brush was also very worn out. However, the effect was good. It was more acceptable to the little fellows than simply practicing writing. When they saw others rinsing their brush, they would feel anxious. However, the more anxious they were, the worse the words they wrote would be. It was very effective in developing their temperament. When the little fellows saw their brother and sister coming over, they all gathered around them. They all talked about what others had said and went to practice writing with their brother and sister. The big table was placed there, and the little fellows each found their own position. If they felt uncomfortable, they would adjust. Today, they were still writing small regular script. There was no requirement for the words to show any strength of character. As long as they could write, they would pass. They could not write large characters because their wrists were not strong enough. When writing, they used their right hand. If they were eating, they would need to switch between their left and right hands. Today, it was the left hand. Tomorrow, it would be the right hand. They could train both sides of the brain at the same time. The little fellows never felt that learning and writing were boring. Games were always accompanied by them. There was no need to tell them that there was a path to the mountain of books, and there was no need to draw a plum blossom to let them understand that if it was not for the bone-chilling cold, how could the plum blossoms smell so fragrant? All the efforts were borne by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. The two had done everything for the education of their younger siblings. After the little fellows wrote, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not make any movements. They communicated with their lips. Can we teach them to play the piano? They are 3 years old. Wang Wan asked. Wait a little longer. After the new year, we will make a flute for them to play. 2 tigers are good enough. Zhang Xiaobao replied. 2 tigers won't work. There is the sound FA in the flute. In our national music, this is called clear horn. Now the music only has the name of the sound, but there is no melody mark. What is used is the mutual generation of the 5 octaves. The sound FA is not easy to play. Not only do you need to loosen the hole, but you also need to control the strength of the exhalation. Wang Wan hummed according to the tune of Who Else Do You Want? Johnson in her heart and found the problem. Then let's play Spring River, Moonlight Night. Zhang Xiaobao did not understand, so he thought of a national song and said, Can you play Spring River, Moonlight Night with a flute? Just a little bit, in front needs 2 octaves. If you can play it, you can play 3 ways of Plum Blossom. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao still refused to admit defeat. Play Rosy Clouds Chasing the Moon. There is the sound of changing palaces in Rosy Clouds Chasing the Moon. What's the difference between that and clear horn? Don't you know that all the sounds can be converted to each other according to different modes? Whether it is the law of 5 octaves or the law of 12 octaves, it is not accurate to set the tone, even if it is pure law. If you want to set the tone, use a tuning device. The amplitude is the same. Wang Wan could bully Zhang Xiaobao in this respect. Zhang Xiaobao did not learn it. When I rule the world, I will do whatever I say. Whoever disagrees with me will be burned in the flower square like Bruno. Then what do you think we should learn first? Zhang Xiaobao gnashed his teeth. It's almost the new year, so I'll first come up with the prelude to the Spring Festival. The main melody is easy to remember, but the harmony is troublesome. I can't remember it, and I didn't take it to heart when I first listened to it. When children listen to songs, don't let them listen to sad songs. Although sad music is the best way to cultivate the feeling of music, like Yan Nanfei, they're still young. Wang Wan could not count on Zhang Xiaobao. Even if Zhang Xiaobao had listened to a lot of music before, he only knew how it was done and did not know why it was done. Zhang Xiaobao did not blush at all. He was not afraid of anything, but he could pretend. So he said, Okay, you do it. If you can't do it well, ask me. The sad horse, head zither, is better. It is bleak and distant. A camel can be forced to feed its child even if it doesn't want to. With such an unpleasant sound, the camel must not be able to stand it. So it compromised and fed the child. For example, the most famous song, 2 Springs Reflecting the Moon, played by the horse head zither. Hey, where are you going? Wang Wan did not know if the camel could stand it, but she could not stand it. She turned her head away. Out of sight, out of mind. She went to see how her brother and sister were doing. When the firecrackers of the new year sounded, when countless families were making dumplings for a reunion, there was still a group of people who were looking at the crescent moon in the sky. Tubo also celebrated the new year at this time, just like the countries around the Tang Empire. At the same time as the Tang Empire, even Xinluo, Tujue, and Japan celebrated the new year. However, many years later, the fickle Japan was not as persistent as Xinluo. They did not even have their own new year to celebrate. It was not easy to survive in the cracks. Han Xianfeng, Jiu Meiling, Mi Fan, and Sanri Nigan sat in the house. They roasted the charcoal stove and ate the steaming dumplings. They listened to the sounds of firecrackers outside and were prepared to keep watch for the night. It's the new year. We can't go back this year. Let's celebrate here. Come, let me drink first. Han Xianfeng raised the wine cup in front of him and said loudly to the 3 of them. He raised his head and drank. The other 3 drank the wine and picked up a cooked dumpling. They dipped it in garlic sauce or vinegar and ate it. It's so lively. If you guys don't come, there won't be any firecrackers in Tubo. Now, the slaves can enjoy themselves. For today, I took out a lot of noodles and meat. I even made a set of clothes for the children. The dumplings that Serenade ate were not stuffed with 3 delicacies. Instead, they were stuffed with pork, beef, and onion. He even cracked 2 eggs inside to prevent them from being too hard. The main reason was that there was not much oil. Meat was often eaten, but he was afraid that it would be too greasy. The beef here was not worth much. Joe Malin did not agree with Serenade's words. He retorted, "You call this lively? You haven't been to Sanchue County during the New Year. You'll know what it means when you get there. Everyone doesn't sleep or keep watch at home. Instead, they come out to dance the dragon. The dragon can even breathe fire." Yes, yes. Now, all the villages near Sanchue County have people building stages. They sing, dance, do crosstalk, and do skits. It's a pity that I don't know how to do it. The slaves can't learn it either. Otherwise, I would build a stage too. Han Xianfeng also recalled how he spent the New Year in the past few years. Mi Fan drank a cup and said, "Listening to the cheers outside, it's not bad. How can it be compared to Sanchue County? There's no place in the world that can be compared to it. I guess even the capital can't." Serenade did not have any direct impression of this. He could only guess the situation in Sanchue County during the New Year. He drank a mouthful of dumpling soup and ate half of lava garlic. He squinted his eyes and pursed his lips because of the sourness. He also said, "Of course Sanchue County can do that. It's rich. Every family doesn't care. However, it's not easy to build a stage. I guess it was only after the Tang Empire's emperor built the Pear Garden. There's no better place in the world than Sanchue County during the New Year. It's not like that. Before the Pear Garden, Sanchue County started to have a New Year's gala during the New Year. It was opened by Zhang family and Wang family. Sanchue County is powerful, but their power lies in Zhang family and Wang family. At this moment, the young master and his wife should be in Luoyang. It seems more lively than Sanchue County. There's no need for anyone else. As long as the young master and his wife are there, they can support a New Year's gala. If you don't believe me, you can ask them when you go back." Han Xianfeng was quite familiar with Sanchue County. When the Zhang family and Wang family held a New Year's gala the next year, he already knew about it. He could still perform many crosstalk jokes, but he could not organize a New Year's gala. Firstly, he had never organized one before and lacked experience. Secondly, the slaves could not be compared to the servants of the Zhang family and Wang family. Although the inner court of the Zhang family and Wang family was not as good as it was now, they were still better than the slaves. The Zhang family and Wang family were quite good at managing them. As the 4 of them talked, they looked at the west side of Jinchuan. They wondered how the people there would spend this year. They did not expect to eat dumplings. Most of the food this year was exchanged with slaves. Compared to the desolation of Tubo and the liveliness of Sanchue County, there was another place that was not inferior to Sanchue County. The roads in Luzhou were second only to the Vermilion Bird Avenue in Chang'an. If all the streets were counted, they were more beautiful than Chang'an. The people of Luzhou welcomed a new provincial governor. The new provincial governor was also very honest. He was not as arrogant as he was in the first month. When he first arrived, he was happy for a few days when he saw that there was running water in the beautiful courtyard. Then he was ready to present his political ideas. In the end, he found a very serious problem. The local counties did not listen to him, and the army was not under his command. He met with the new military secretary and wrote an urgent letter. He sent it to the capital with a local carrier pigeon at a high price. Not only did the people in the capital not help him, but they also reprimanded the 2 of them. One of them was Zhang Shua's man, and the other was the crown prince's man. It was not easy for them to cooperate. They did not expect that not only Zhang Shua and the crown prince received the letter, but even Gao Lishir and the emperor also knew the content. Gao Lishir did not say much, but Li Longji saw the letter from the 2 of them. It said that the places controlled by the Zhang family and the Wang family were going to rebel. Li Longji was so angry that he was amused. If they wanted to rebel, why didn't they stay where they were? The adults were in Luoyang, but the children were in the capital? If they really wanted to rebel, would Lu Zhou give them the pigeons? Therefore, the new provincial governor and the military secretary became obedient. When the new year arrived and they found that all the people in Luzhou had set up the longevity altar to worship Zhangzhong, the two of them finally understood who was in charge here. Some people were comfortable during the new year, but others were not. The Four Seas Academy also organized an event. It was organized by the students of Xinluo. The current students of Xinluo were more powerful than those of Japan. Although they lost in Ci Zhou's Changning, it did not hurt their foundation. If they continued to operate, there would still be a little profit. Unlike here in Japan, where they directly faced Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they lost again and again. As a result, the mood of Yamamoto and the other Japanese students was not so good. 6 days ago, a fast ship came from Japan. As soon as the people on the ship arrived at the Four Seas Academy, they could not stop crying. This was because this time 3 big ships and more than 10 fast ships came over, but only one ship arrived at the destination. The others were silent on the way. In fact, there were 4 fast ships on each of the 3 big ships. When they encountered danger, only one fast ship came out. The other ships probably could not come over. It was impossible not to die on a voyage. Although Yamamoto was sad, he was not too sad. The main problem was that he had spent so much money to grow ginseng, but other than the bitter and astringent radishes, he did not even see a single ginseng whisker. This meant that he had failed. If he failed, he could start all over again, but how many 100,000 strings were there to lose? The Japanese side had already said that they would not send any money to him in the next 2 years, so he had to think of a way himself. At this time, Yamamoto remembered what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan said to him the moment he saw them. At that time, Wang Wan basically agreed, and Zhang Xiaobao did all the talking. Zhang Xiaobao said that if Japan was unable to send money directly, they could cooperate. They could use the extra silver or cent this time to exchange for 40 sets of glass products. In the future, they could continue to use the glass products to exchange for gold and silver in Japan, as well as good wood. In the end, he did not agree at that time, thinking that this price was too low. At that time, Zhang Xiaobao said that if they wanted to exchange next time, it would probably not be at this price. He even thought that Zhang Xiaobao was lying to him. Now, the country already knew about glass products. Rich people wanted to buy them at all costs, but where could he find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan during the new year? He also didn't know what kind of new price they would offer. Yamamoto lowered his head and didn't have any thoughts as he listened to the people on the school's stage imitating the messy party that Sanshui City had created. The dumplings in front of him had long turned cold. Yamamoto wasn't in the mood to eat by the side. When he waited for someone on the stage to sing an unpleasant tune, he said to Yamamoto, "Yamamoto, why don't we meet Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan tomorrow morning and bring gifts? By the time we arrive, the new year will be over. Who knows if they are still in Luoyang? Besides, what kind of gift do you think will make Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan willing to continue cooperating with us?" It wasn't that Yamamoto hadn't thought of such a thing. If it were another opponent, he could casually make a decision and was confident that he could control the other party. But now he was facing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Although these two people weren't adults, they weren't simple at all. In their calculations, who dared to say that they were stronger than the two of them? Especially after the failure to replant the ginseng, no matter how he thought about it. He felt that it was too coincidental to be able to see how the ginseng grew. When the Tang Dynasty's agriculture temple was losing money, when no one ate the newly cultivated radishes, when he went to look for them, why was Wang Wan, who was usually as close to Zhang Xiaobao as a person, angry? Why was Wang Wan, who could lead troops to war, so delicate after spraining her ankle? Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang family were the most strict about technology, so how could a maidservant sit at the door where there was ginseng? She even ran out to see Wang Wan. If these coincidences weren't enough, after he arrived in the capital, he encountered many things that were also very coincidental. At first, he didn't think much of it, but now that he thought about it, he realized that things were definitely not that simple. I was fooled, deceived, Sai. If I hadn't gone to Baoshin County back then, would today's matter not have happened? As he thought about it, Yamamoto closed his eyes and said to Yamamoto in pain. Yamamoto wasn't stupid, so he naturally understood what was going on. It was just like the rumors. Oh, it was no longer a rumor, but a fact. Just as others had admitted to him, no matter how capable they thought they were, they must not scheme against Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Whoever touched them would be finished. There was no luck at all. It was one thing to understand in his heart, but he couldn't say it out loud. Now, he had to rely on himself and Yamamoto. With a sigh, Yamamoto said to Yamamoto, "If you put yourself in the same position as Zhang Xiaobao, you will naturally be sad if you fail. However, Zhang Xiaobao is not someone that anyone can stand shoulder to shoulder with. Xinhua has already invested 150,000 strings of cash in Changning this time, but they have been losing money all the time. Even if they make money in the future, it will only be a small amount of money. For example, in terms of investment, the gains are too little. Zhang Xiaobao didn't go there personally. He only wrote a plan for Li Yu. If it were up to me, I would set off immediately and go to Luoyang. I believe they won't leave before the 15th of the first lunar month. Catch up with them and ask them how much they sell their glass. When the time comes, we can transport some of them back." Maybe he really thought it through after being persuaded by Yamamoto, or maybe he just found a way out for himself. After hearing Yamamoto's words, Yamamoto opened his eyes, looked at Yamamoto, and asked, "Can you make it in time?" "Yes, it's the 30th tonight. 15 days will be over by a fast horse. Why do we give the silver or that we didn't agree on last time as a gift to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan?" The words were said by Yamamoto, and the idea was also said by him. Chapter 764. The lively new year faded away amidst the sound of firecrackers. The people who had finished celebrating the new year started their own work again. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also needed to change places. It wasn't that they didn't want to stay in Baoshin County, but that the court had begun to fight for the position again. In order to protect their family's property there, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan jointly submitted a petition to suggest that the position should be filled by the original county official. They said that the position could be changed after 2 years, as the situation there was still unstable. The results were not out yet, but no matter who would occupy the position in the end, it would definitely not be Zhang Xiaobao or Wang Wan. Not to mention that the two of them knew that they would not be of much use there. Even if they could continue to develop Wuxin County better than planned, Li Longji would not be so stupid to let the two of them continue to play in the county. "Li Shi, where do you think is the best place for me to arrange for Xiaobao and Cuckoo?" Li Longji asked Gao Li Shi as he stood in front of a large shark. His gaze was fixed on the terrifying teeth of the shark as he asked Gao Li Shi. How could Gao Li Shi know what the best place was? If he had to say something, he would definitely say that it was good to be an official in the capital. That way, he could see Xiaobao and Cuckoo every day. But he also understood that while the idea was good, it was impossible to actually do it. One reason was that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were too young. The officials did not feel comfortable looking at them, and they had no achievements. The other reason was Wang Wan. Once she entered the court, as a woman, she would not fit in with the others. Although there could be female officials, and the years that had just passed had not diluted Wu Ziqian's name, and the name Wang Wan was still very pleasant to hear. But once she entered the court, it was very strange to have a group of men with a girl in the middle. Seeing that Gao Li Shi did not answer, Li Longji said it himself. "The capital is not suitable, and Luoyang is not suitable either. Why don't we put them there? Zhang Zhong can enter the court as an official, and he can also continue to stay in Luoyang. I just don't know where the two of them are going. Help me ask." "Yes, Your Majesty." Gao Li Shi really didn't want to accept this task. He knew that once he asked, the emperor would definitely not agree with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's wishes. It had nothing to do with their abilities. It was all because the emperor wanted to continue teasing them. Anyway, people like them could be trusted and comfortable. He could just throw them anywhere. As long as they went, the rich places would become richer, and the poor places would become better. It was very magical. After accepting the mission, Gao Lisher quickly sent a letter to Luoyang. It was a letter from home. He asked Zhang Xiaobao where he wanted to go next. After Li Longji finished instructing Gao Lisher, he continued to look at the shark. Along with the shark specimen, there was also a letter of introduction. It was a letter of introduction to the shark, and the characteristics of the shark were written in the letter. This is the fierce tiger of the sea. Unfortunately, although the tiger is fierce, it can't compare to a man. A man's fierceness lies in his heart. Li Longji touched the shark's shriveled skin and said faintly, "This shark was actually a dried fish." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wanted to make a better specimen, but unfortunately, they didn't have the ability. If they had formalin liquid, it would be even better. Feeling the astringent and smooth feeling of a shark skin, Li Longji thought of Empress Wang for some reason. Ever since Empress Wang returned, Li Longji had spent at least one night at Empress Wang's place every 2 days. There was naturally no need to elaborate on the passion. In any case, Empress Wang had new tricks every night. It made Li Longji, who thought of himself as a relatively strong emperor, feel a little overwhelmed. Thinking of how he had rested for an entire night last night, Li Longji, who was rather moved, gave up on continuing to look at the shark. He gave Gao Lisher another order and headed for Empress Wang's place. On a chair that swayed up and down as the palace maids and eunuchs took turns stepping on it. After releasing the life essence, Li Longji pressed his head against Empress Wang's body in satisfaction and murmured, "Where did this chair come from?" At this time, Empress Wang didn't even want to move her fingers. Hearing the emperor's question, she said with a strong spirit, "Your Majesty, this chair was sent from Luoyang. I only found out what it was used for later. It's so embarrassing." Not embarrassing, not embarrassing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family have such good things? Looks like I'll have to send more people to check it out. Li Longji liked Empress Wang like this. Thinking of the things made by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, he said to Empress Wang. Empress Wang was worried that she couldn't find a chance to repay Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. When she heard the emperor say this, she immediately said, "Your Majesty, it's really strange. How can Xiaobao and Cuckoo have such great abilities? Did they really learn all the abilities of the experts?" Without thinking too much, Li Longji nodded his head on Empress Wang's body and said, "I think it about time. They can be of great use." "Then where is your Majesty going to arrange for the two of them? You can't let them stay in a small place like Baoxin County, right?" Empress Wang said with 2 touching moans. "That depends on where they want to go. If they want to go, I won't let them go. Last time, they tricked me." Li Longji stuck out his tongue and licked her seductive skin twice and said, "Your Majesty should listen to the reason why Xiaobao and Cuckoo are going to the same place. If they can help your Majesty, your Majesty, your Majesty, I can't take it anymore. Your Majesty, please spare me." Empress Wang said as she started to pant rapidly. Following that, she started to moan. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who didn't know that Empress Wang was speaking for them, received a letter from Gao Lisher when they were preparing to carry out their plan. Xiaobao, look, I think Li Longji can't wait any longer, and asked Gao Lisher to write a letter to ask about it. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao, who was practicing calligraphy next to her, "Oh, they came? It's good that they came. Otherwise, we would have to waste our time. Write a reply letter." "I'll write it. Just treat it as practicing calligraphy. Say that we are going to invest in Ciizhou. Also, we need a place with water, so that it's convenient for transportation. The population should be small. Let them choose a place around here." Zhang Xiaobao finished the remaining 2 strokes seriously. He took the letter and scanned it twice. Then, He changed a piece of paper and began to write a reply letter. Wang Wan was reading beside him. While reading, she asked, Xiaobao, do you think Li Longji can arrange for us to go to Dalian? Oh, it's called Jili Prefecture now. It's a very remote place. Otherwise, we can change it to Inko. No, let's go to Dalian. Dalian is close to Shandong. We can't worry about transportation when we go to such a bad place. We can transport the things produced in Dalian to Shandong by land. Or, we can continue to go down and enter the Yellow River. Zhang Xiaobao finished the letter quickly and blew the ink dry. I guess Li Longji can't imagine that there's a place like Jili Prefecture. Wang Wan took an envelope and letter paint from the side and handed it to Zhang Xiaobao. If he can't imagine it, let him think about it. Most of the places with my fan stones have been bought by us. Then we can advertise the benefits of this thing and let others help us find it. We can buy it at a high price. After opening the letter, Zhang Xiaobao shook the bell with his hand and turned to talk to Wang Wan. Seeing that the person outside took the letter away, Wang Wan pondered for a while and shook her head. I really don't know what you're thinking. Can you achieve your goal by exposing the My Fan stones? I guess once the My Fan stones are known by the Sitong Temple, they will definitely spend a lot of money to buy it. Besides, they don't seem to need to spend too much money. As long as they make a name, I believe many people will be willing to help them find it and give it to them for free. After all, the seeds they are researching now are not bad, and the output is very high. That's right. We don't need too many My Fan stones. We'll take them out and let Li Longji choose. Zhang Xiaobao stretched and then said, it's cold there after the New Year. I don't know if Xiao Bei and the others can bear it. It's good to let them suffer a little. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. When the letter reached Li Longji, he was in a happy and worried situation. He was happy because Empress Wang was pregnant, but he was also worried because he didn't want to live at Empress Wang's place for the next month. Even if he lived there, he couldn't do anything. Now that he had enjoyed that special feeling of ecstasy, Li Longji really didn't want to leave. Holding the letter in his hand, Li Longji read it word by word, afraid that he would miss the key points if he read it too quickly. This was a new competition. He had lost the last few times because he didn't have enough information. Now that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had written a letter, how could he say that the information was insufficient? Li Shi, help me think. We need to go to Xiaizhou to look at the clay, and we need to go to a place with plenty of water. What kind of place would that be? Li Longji read the letter and asked Gao Li Shi. Your Majesty, the best place should be in Danzhou, but Danzhou is not a lower province. If we arrange for Xiaobao and Cuckoo to go there, wouldn't that be too high of a position? If we put it in Xiaizhou, there's still Liu there. Who would listen to who? Gao Li Shi was a good secretary. He immediately found a place to go and asked someone to get a map. When the map was spread out, Li Longji saw Danzhou through a magnifying glass. In fact, he could see it even without a magnifying glass. It was such a big place, and it wasn't hard to see. Looking at Danzhou, which was next to Xiaizhou, Li Longji shook his head. No, it's definitely not Danzhou. Xiaobao and Cuckoo should know that no matter what, they can't be officials there. Your Majesty, is it that the more they want to go, the more you don't want them to go? The more they don't want to go, the more you want them to go? Does Your Majesty want to arrange for them to go to Danzhou? Gao Li Shi also looked at the map and asked Li Longji. In his heart, he thought that it would be better if they were really arranged to go to Danzhou. Li Longji wasn't stupid. He waved his hand and said, definitely not Danzhou. It's not suitable for Xiaobao and Cuckoo. They want to see the pottery in Xiaizhou, so let them do business there. I'll still take care of that. As for water, there are many places with water. If it's convenient to transport water, it's naturally the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. Humph, I can't let them go to those two places. I can't be tricked by them again. If they want water, sure. Sea water and lake water are both water. Daunting Lake is good. No, if I can think of it, how can they not think of it? I won't give them the lake. Your Majesty, it's okay to give them the lake, right? Gao Lishir felt that the emperor had become a little abnormal. After thinking about the lake, he thought that there was no place that could be tricked. Why not? They want to have sheep and pufferfish. Give them a lake, and maybe they will do something. If that's all they can do, I'll let them raise it. But they can be officials anywhere. I won't let them do as they wish. Li Longji seemed very excited. Gao Lishir suddenly felt that the emperor had become a child. Otherwise, why did he have to go against Xiao Bao and Cuckoo? Your Majesty, then we won't arrange for them to go to the lake. Where else can we arrange for them? Is it the sea? Gao Lishir had to help him come up with ideas. Just as Li Longji was about to agree, he thought about it and shook his head again. The sea is definitely out of the question. I'll arrange for them to go to the Yellow River. Just now I thought wrong. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can't be treated lightly. This place is fake, but real. Didn't they say that they want to go to the Yellow River? Only that place is close to Ciizhou. I'll arrange for them to go there. If he didn't think that he knew Li Longji well, Gao Lishir really wanted to summon the imperial physician. This was clearly the sign of a demon. You're an emperor. Why don't you govern the country properly? Why are you competing with two children? At this time, Li Longji didn't care about Gao Lishir anymore. He was muttering something about fake and real. It was very profound. It was similar to the Taoism he supported. It was very mysterious and wonderful. Most of the maids and eunuchs in the palace listened to Empress Wang. One reason was because Empress Wang was not impatient with them. At the same time, she treated them well. Sometimes she even played with them. Another reason was because of Empress Wang's status. After all, she was the Empress of Tang. Therefore, the words of Li Longji and Gao Lishir quickly reached Empress Wang's ears. Empress Wang, who was very happy about having a child, had long regarded Wang Wan as a great benefactor. Using the methods that Wang Wan explained in the letter, not only did she please the emperor, but she also successfully got pregnant. Since going to Huaiyuan County, Wang Wan had already helped a lot. At the same time, she had also spent a lot of money. It was time to repay her. After Empress Wang knew about the things that the emperor and Gao Lishir talked about, she immediately began to write a letter. She wanted to tell Wang Wan so that she could prepare in advance. Just as she picked up the brush, before she could write, someone sent her a letter from Wang Wan from Luoyang. To be precise, it was a letter from the Wei River. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already brought their younger brothers and sisters to the capital again. Old Man Pai and the other two people, as well as their families, followed them. They also didn't know where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were going to go next. Anyway, following them was the right thing to do. Fortunately, I didn't write a letter. Otherwise, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's big matter would be ruined. It would also be easy for Wu Huifei to find something that could be used against me. After reading the letter, Empress Wang wiped the sweat on her forehead and said to Xiao Zhu, who was waiting on her side. Xiao Zhu also read the letter, but she didn't know many words. Recently, she had been making use of the time to learn. In the past, she didn't need to recognize words. Since she went to Huaiyuan County, learning to read had become part of her learning. At this time, reading the letter made no difference. She didn't know what was written in the letter. After listening to Empress Wang, she blinked and asked, "Empress, what did Cuckoo say?" She said not to let me interfere. They can solve it themselves. Also, she asked me to go to Huaiyuan County again and stay there until I give birth to the child. Empress Wang closed the letter and held it in her hands as if she was holding a treasure. Empress, didn't Cuckoo say how to deal with Wu Huifei? Xiao Zhu thought that Wang Wan was starting to come up with ideas to deal with Wu Huifei. Seeing that the Empress didn't mention anything, she anxiously asked. Ever since Empress Wang was pregnant, Xiao Zhu felt that the opportunity had come. It didn't matter whether the child was a boy or a girl. The important thing was whether she could give birth. As long as she could give birth, no one could shake the Empress's position. Empress Wang gently stroked the letter with her hand and said to Xiao Zhu. She didn't say. Cuckoo was afraid that the letter would accidentally fall into Wu Huifei's hands. Wouldn't that be the end of everything? Prepare to leave and pack your luggage. Okay, I'll go now. Xiao Zhu thought about it and agreed. If someone else got the letter and wrote bad things about Wu Huifei, Wang Wan would have to bear the responsibility. On the boat traveling on the Wei River, Old Man Pai and the other two found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were telling stories to their younger siblings. The three of them didn't disturb them and just listened to them. Even if the stories made them feel funny, they listened very seriously. Similarly, Xiao Bei and the others listened very seriously. If they were to be told the romance of the three kingdoms, now, they would definitely be confused. Thus, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan acted while telling them the fairy tale. Occasionally, they would insert some of the knowledge they learned yesterday for Xiao Bei and the others to interact with. Ever since the tiger discovered the little lamb also saw the tiger. This is troublesome. The tiger wants to eat the little lamb. What should we do? Zhang Xiaobao pretended to be a tiger and bared its fangs and claws at Wang Wan. Wang Wan was like a little lamb, trembling and speaking with a trembling voice. Seeing that the tiger with its mouth wide open was about to bite the little lamb, Xiao Bei stuck out his tongue and licked his sweet lips. He looked very nervous. The other children also opened their eyes wide, and their breathing became rapid. Oh, I'm going to eat you. Unless you can answer what is 34 plus 22, I'll eat you. Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan as he clenched his teeth a few times. Don't eat me. I'm still young. Don't eat me. Let me think. What is 34 plus 22? It's going to be too late. Wang Wan shrunk her body into a ball and looked at Xiao Bei and the others with anticipation. I know. It's equal to. Xiao Hai raised his hand and wanted to say the answer, but Zhang Xiaobao interrupted Xiao Hai and said, You already said it just now. It doesn't matter if you say it again. I'm still going to eat the little lamb, unless someone else says it. Xiao Hai, who knew the rules, closed his eyes helplessly. He really knew it, and he knew it when the tiger said it. But he had already answered once, so he couldn't continue to participate. Similarly, he couldn't tell others. I calculated it. It's equal to 55. Little boy suddenly raised his hand and answered. She hadn't participated yet. No, that's right. I'm going to eat. Zhang Xiaobao walked step by step toward Wang Wan. Wang Wan hugged her head with her hands and squatted there helplessly. Xiao Bei was also anxious. He counted his fingers and found that it wasn't enough. He borrowed Xiao Yuan's fingers and counted together, but it was still not enough. At the critical moment when the tiger was about to eat the little lamb, Zhang Fang said, It's 56. Roar. I failed again. Damn little lamb. You actually had someone to help you. Next time, I'll definitely eat you. The tiger roared unwillingly and retreated in defeat. We won. We defeated the big tiger. The little guys cheered. Old Man Bai and the other two continued to watch and listen. If this kind of fruit was heard by another adult, they would definitely laugh coldly. However, it was a good story for Xiao Bei and the others. It allowed them to use what they had learned yesterday. Sigh. This is education, real education. There's no need for a teacher to be in front of them. There's no need to beat them. The little guys will naturally take the initiative to learn. It's really hard on Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. The two of them spent a lot of money on this set of clothes. Education is really the most expensive. Old Man Pai didn't see the childishness, but the meaning. Xiao Bei and the others didn't feel the slightest pressure when they were learning. It was just that, in order to protect the little lamb, they had to master the content yesterday. Old Man Yao also nodded and said, If every teacher could be like this, why would the Tang Dynasty not prosper? Unfortunately, many people keep a straight face when teaching children. They think that this is the only way to show the dignity of a teacher. But they don't know that a teacher's dignity isn't just about keeping a straight face. It's about what kind of students they can teach. I'll remember. This story is related to yesterday's textbook. I'll write it down in a while. When the time comes, I'll organize it and send it to every school. Old Man Chong watched Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan continued to play the role of letting the other children who didn't participate to help calculate. He softly agreed with the two old men. After 45 minutes, when everyone participated in the calculation of the plot of the story, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finally ended the story. They left a tale for the little guys to remember. When they continued to study later, they would be more serious. Otherwise, the story would be interrupted, and they wouldn't be able to hear the story. Class is over, Zhang Xiaobao said. The little guys cheered and played with the joy of helping the weak. Wang Wan turned her head and said to Old Man Pai and the others, "Grandpa, Pai, you're here. What's the matter?" Old Man Pai smiled and nodded. "It's nothing big. I just wanted to ask you where the next place to be an official is so that we can be prepared." Next place? Xiao Bao said that the next place will be a place with water. It doesn't matter where it is. Wang Wan didn't plan to tell Old Man Pai and the others her real thoughts. When the three of them reached the capital, they would definitely betray her and Xiao Bao. She couldn't count on them to keep a secret. Sure enough, Old Man Pai and the others were very dissatisfied with this answer. It was as good as not saying anything. There were many places with water. Who knew where it would be? They didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't confirmed it yet. They were just asking and helping when the time came. Knowing the concerns of the two older children, Old Man Chang promised, "Cuckoo, tell Grandpa." "Grandpa won't tell anyone." "Really?" Wang Wan asked in disbelief. "Really?" The three old men replied together. "TSK, it would be strange if I believed you. If the Emperor asked you, would you not say anything?" "Fine, Xiao Bao and I will believe you this time. In fact, the place we want to go is the Hunan province," Wang Wan said helplessly, as if she had been defeated by them. The three old men looked at each other. Old Man Yao didn't believe it and asked, "Hunan province? What are you going to do there?" "Nothing. We just want to take a look." "There is water there, right?" Wang Wan asked. "Yes, there is. Not only is there a river, if you continue to go east, there is also seawater." "Is there a good place there?" "Hunan province? What is there in Hunan province?" "It is convenient to transport, has a large population, and has a high grain output." "No, if you choose, you should choose a poor place." Old Man Pai immediately thought of a map of Hunan province. He found that there were very few provinces suitable for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to go. Yes, it was a province. Moreover, one had to be the provincial governor, and the other had to be the military registrar. It was impossible for them to be the registrar and deputy county magistrate. Even if both of them wanted to do it, no one would let them do it. It would be too wasteful and overkill. Wang Wan didn't want to tell the truth and replied, "No, nothing. It is good there. For example, in Dengzhou, we can see if there are immortals in Penglai. We can see mirages there. Maybe we will really meet them." There was no way Old Man Bai and the other two would believe Wang Wan's words. Old Man Bai felt that these two brats were getting smarter and smarter, or rather, they were getting better at hiding things. They were no longer like how they were in the beginning, where they would answer whatever they were asked. Now that they were asking questions, he would be thankful if they were at least 30% truthful. Old Man Yao said, "I don't believe it. If you want to go to Dengzhou, although there is Penglai there, you don't seem to care about it, right? Tell Grandpa, are you really going to go to Hunan province? What good things are there? In fact, I don't believe it. I'm just kidding. If we don't go to Hunan province, we will go to other places. Wait for me, and Xiao Bao to think about it. If we think of something, we will tell you," Wang Wan said to Old Man Yao, trying her best to make her words sound more believable. The three old men shook their heads at the same time. They felt that they would go back and think about it carefully. They didn't believe that the masters of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan still couldn't figure it out when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were in charge. When Empress Wang took the ship to Huaiyuan County with her pregnancy, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's ship was still 2 days away from the capital. It was impossible for them to meet. Li Longji didn't stop Empress Wang. He also hoped that Empress Wang could safely give birth to a child, whether it was a boy or a girl. If it was a boy, it would be better. If the Empress had a child, her status would naturally be different. In fact, Gao Lishir didn't agree with Li Longji abolishing the Empress. He didn't have a good impression of Empress Wang, but he also didn't have a bad impression of her. Knowing that Empress Wang was going to Huayuan County again, he helped to arrange it, especially in terms of guards. This was not because of Empress Wang's identity, but because of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Since Wang Wan stood on Empress Wang's side, and Zhang Xiaobao was his godson, he had to help. The maids and eunuchs in the palace, who couldn't leave with Empress Wang, were regretful and expectant. They hoped that Empress Wang could give birth to the child smoothly. If she couldn't give birth to the child safely under the care of Day Medical School, there would be no safe place in the world. When many people were happy, some people couldn't be happy. Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on her? How did she get pregnant? You didn't arrange the matter of the bank well. What's the use of keeping you? Wu Huifei was smashing things in her room with all her might. Plates, bowls, teacups, one after another, were smashed to the ground by her. When she picked up an inkstone, she suddenly saw 2 words written on it. She stopped. Those 2 words were Shui Yun. This meant that this inkstone was given by the Zhang family and the Wang family. It wasn't that Wu Huifei didn't dare to smash it, but that she didn't want to. This thing was very valuable. An inkstone was not a plate. Who would give an inkstone to others to play with? If this was smashed, it would be very difficult to get another one in the future. Actually, this inkstone isn't that good. It's just that the ink doesn't fade when the sky is dark, and it doesn't dry when the sky is hot. Wu Huifei gently put down the inkstone and muttered. The palace maids and eunuchs in the room pulled a long face. They wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. How could something given by the Zhang family and the Wang family be simple? Of course, it didn't fade when the sky was dark, and it didn't dry when the sky was hot. This was the best inkstone. Even if a good stone was found, it was hard to find one in a million. It would be fine if the sky was cloudy, but it would be difficult if it didn't dry up when the sky was hot. This meant that the ink slab could absorb moisture. If the ink was adjusted properly while drawing, it would definitely not feel good if it suddenly dried up while drawing. Wu Huifei also knew that the inkstone was precious. She touched it with her hand and continued, "Don't think that this consort is reluctant to smash it. This consort is afraid that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan will find out and deliberately use this to make trouble. How can the inkstone given to this consort compare to the one given to Empress Wang? Except for the fact that it doesn't fade when the sky is dark, and it doesn't dry when the sky is hot. It also makes bells ring when the wind blows, and people dance when the moon turns. This is the real good thing." The palace maids and eunuchs still didn't say anything. They lowered their heads and looked to their toes. They also knew that the inkstone given to Empress Wang might have a different structure inside, so it could make bells ring when the wind blew. In addition, the vertical wall of the inkstone was translucent. There were several things inside. When the moon shone on them, they naturally seemed to come alive. Many things were not as mysterious as before. The Zhang family and the Wang family used a lot of knowledge to let people understand everything in the world. So when they saw something magical, they could think in this direction. Thinking about it was just thinking about it. Empress Wang's inkstone was indeed unusual. It was difficult to find another one. It was brought back from Huayuan County. Sometimes, the emperor didn't even plan to spend the night with Empress Wang. When he was reviewing memorials, in order to see such a moving inkstone under the moonlight, he deliberately went to find Empress Wang and stayed there. After venting for a while, Wu Huifei felt much better. She said to the palace maid standing next to her, "Xiao Dai, go and arrange people immediately. We can't let Empress Wang give birth to the child." "Your Highness, this time Empress Wang's trip is different from last time. She brought 2 cooks from the Joy House to cook for her. With the ability of the Zhang family and the Wang family, it's impossible to put drugs in the food. When they arrive at the Day Hospital, who can do something under the eyes of a group of medical doctors? "Your Highness, why don't we take advantage of the fact that His Majesty can't visit Empress Wang and take His Majesty back? At least in this way, she will be the same as she is now and won't cause too much trouble." Xiao Dai really wanted to carry out Wu Huifei's order, but she also knew the actual situation. It was really a daydream to frame Empress Wang under the protection of the Zhang family and the Wang family. "Can't we sell the people of the day hospital?" Wu Huifei asked again. In fact, she knew the answer without others' answer. The people of the day hospital couldn't be moved by money. They did research there and put all their attention on the development of medicine. What's more, even if they wanted to buy them with money, they had to be able to afford the price. Medical students were treated very well. As long as they worked hard, their families didn't have to worry at all. When they were old, they would be supported. How could the Zhang family and the Wang family be short of money? After asking this question, Wu Huifei felt bored. She said to the palace maid and the eunuch, "I'm tired." The palace maid and the eunuch immediately began to arrange Wu Huifei's rest. On the way, Empress Wang didn't always stay in the cabin. Occasionally, she would come out to have a look and feel the cold winter. This year was indeed colder than usual, but the river was still gurgling. With the opening of this artificial river, more and more merchants were willing to take this road. Therefore, the people responsible for cleaning the river definitely wouldn't allow the river to be blocked. When the ice was thin, they would sprinkle some salt. When the ice was thick, they would cut it. In addition, the ships traveling in the winter would wrap the surroundings with iron sheets. There was no need to worry about being stuck in the river. "It's a pity that I can't see it this time." Under the protection of the charcoal fire and the coat, Empress Wang gently touched her belly with her hand. She seemed to be talking to herself, but also seemed to be talking to the people next to her. "Empress, even if you can't see it this time, there will be chances in the future. You can't be careless. You must give birth to the little master and the little lady. It'll be fine when they go to the medical school. Even if you encounter a difficult birth, there are ways to solve it. It's just a small opening." Xiao Zhu gently placed her hand on Empress Wang's belly. She didn't want to feel the little life in Empress Wang's belly. Instead, she wanted to know if Empress Wang was cold. She had just been told that she was pregnant. The child in her belly hadn't formed yet, so how could she feel it? Empress Wang had a different feeling from Xiao Zhu. Perhaps it was a psychological effect, but she felt that the child in her belly could speak to her. After hearing Xiao Zhu's words, she said, "Isn't it just 10 months? I can wait." Although there aren't so many 10 months in a person's life, it's fine to suffer a little for the child. Xiao Zhu hurriedly nodded her head vigorously and said, "That's right, that's right." Miss Kaiwan said that mother's greatness is gradually revealed in these 10 months. It's best if it's a little princess. When that time comes, this servant will definitely bring her to play. Xiao Zhu's last sentence wasn't what she wanted. She hoped that she would give birth to a little prince. That way, Empress Wang's status would be even more different. In order to make Empress Wang happy, she emphasized that it was a little princess. The person beside her immediately said, "A little princess is good." Just like Cuckoo, who dares to say that a girl is inferior to a boy. Empress Wang was indeed much happier. Just like what the palace maid had said, if it was a little princess, as long as she could be like Cuckoo, she would also be valued. Thinking of this, Empress Wang thought of an idea and said, "I've decided. No matter if it's a boy or a girl, as long as it's born, I'll send it to Cuckoo to raise. There's no one more powerful than them. Look at their younger brother and sister. Not only are they a pair, but they're also quite good-looking. Even if the heavens are jealous, with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's abilities, they'll be able to handle it. Someone write a letter to me and send it to Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Tell them that I'll let them raise my child in the future." Empress Wang really did as she said. It wasn't that she didn't want to personally raise the child, but she was afraid that something would happen to the child. Wu Huifei was so good at giving birth, but didn't one die after another? In the end, she had no choice but to let others raise her child. Furthermore, this was her first time having a child. In this world, There was no place more stable than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. Furthermore, she heard that their younger brother and sister were cuter than the other, more sensible than the other. They were all little geniuses. Chapter 765. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived in the capital, before they could settle Xiao Bei and the others down, the call of the capital came. Xiao Bei and the others had been to the palace before, so they were not afraid at all, let alone nervous. They immediately changed into their official robes. Ever since they had obtained power last time, they had not used it once. They had originally planned to use it on Xingsai County's County Magistrate Yan, but County Magistrate Yan did not give them the chance. When they wanted to use someone to do something bad, County Magistrate Yan fell ill. Whether it was a real illness or a fake one, he was on sick leave, so they could not ask him to do anything. After that, County Magistrate Yan recovered and stabilized. He did not come to find Yi Wei again, nor did he talk about working together to do business. It was as if nothing had happened. Xiao Bei, who had not been able to teach him a lesson, was not satisfied. Thus, he told his brother and sister that when they moved to another place, they would bring County Magistrate Yan along and wait for him to make a mistake. With this thought in mind, Xiao Bei prepared to have a good talk with Li Longji to see if they could bring County Magistrate Yan along. Just like that, the group of people arrived in front of the palace gates. How could the guards not recognize Xiao Bao and the others? They didn't even announce their arrival. After seeing the token, they immediately let them pass. They came a bit early today. Li Longji had not yet finished his court session. The officials were still standing outside in the cold wind, discussing matters with Li Longji. Normally, officials below the 5th rank were not allowed to enter the morning court session at this time. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were special. The two of them came and went as they pleased. The guards could not stop them. Thus, the two of them brought Xiao Bei and the others, who were clamoring to see what the morning court session was like, to join in at the last moment. The group of children swaggered to the back of the group. It turned out that the person at the back of the group was no longer at the back. This person sized up Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Ignoring the endless debate at the top, he said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Zhang Xiaobao, aren't you standing in the wrong place? This is where the military officers are. You should go there." As he spoke, he pointed to the opposite side where the civil officials were standing. Zhang Xiaobao didn't know this person at all. He smiled and said, "I came with my wife. She is a deputy county magistrate and also a civil official." Yes, no. How can Wang Wan be a civil official? He's clearly a military general. It wasn't easy for this person to determine which side Wang Wan was on, but the smarter him still decided to leave Wang Wan on the side of the generals. After all, one more force was better than nothing. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement and said, "That's right. My wife, a deputy county magistrate, is a military general. How can I, a registrar, be a civil official? Am I right?" "That's right, that's not right. That's not the same as an official position. Wang Wan is a devil. Oh, she's a fairy. The kind that's very good at fighting." This person was once again led astray by Zhang Xiaobao. Who cares what he is? As long as there's a place to stand, it's fine. Xiao Bei didn't want to run around randomly. Hearing that this person wanted to chase them away, he popped his head out and said this. This person was immediately stunned. He didn't know that Xiao Bei and the others had also been given an official position. Moreover, it was the kind of position where as long as all the little fellows worked together, they could impeach someone. Thus, he looked at Xiao Bei and the others in confusion. Other than shock, there was only astonishment left. Xiao Zhu leaned over with her hands on her hips. She was very dissatisfied with this person's gaze and said, "What are you looking at? If you look at me again, I'll impeach you. If we work together, we'll impeach the imperial censor. Do you understand?" This person's mind seemed to have been struck by lightning. He had actually heard of this matter. At first, he thought that it was just someone casually talking about it. Now, It was not at all convenient. His Majesty really gave a bunch of little brats the position of officials and can impeach others without any evidence? This person muttered to himself. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard this, Wei Wei smiled and didn't say anything. Xiao Bei and the others proudly puffed out their chests and raised their heads. Your Majesty, regarding the matter of the private bank, this official wants to say that the way of the economy is not a small matter. This official has done some research on this matter. Thus, this official thinks that this official is qualified to enter the China Banking Regulatory Commission. Just as these people were talking, a civil official not far away suddenly stood out and recommended himself to Li Longji. Just as he finished speaking, Xiao Bei and the others, who lived together and had a tacit understanding, stood out at the same time and said in a childish voice, "This official objects." If only one person came out and said this, it wouldn't have any weight. A seventh-ranked official didn't have the qualifications to say this. However, if a bunch of little fellows said it at the same time, then it was different. If they were separated, they were nothing. However, once they worked together, then they were the imperial censor. This position was enough for them to speak up, because they were too far away, and Li Longji couldn't bring binoculars with him when he went to court. He really didn't know that Xiao Bei and the others had come over. At this time, the court was very lax. Even if someone wanted to go to the washroom at this time, they could secretly leave and go to take care of it. Under such lax policies, not only did Li Longji not notice that a bunch of little fellows had come over, even Gao Lisher only reacted when the little fellows were talking and saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Your Majesty, Xiao Bei and the others have arrived. They should have just arrived, Gao Lisher said to Li Longji. At this time, Li Longji also saw who was talking. A trace of a smile appeared on his stiff face, and he asked Xiao Bao and the others, "Why do you all object? Come closer and tell me." The little fellows began to walk forward. The stairs were very long, and it took several steps to walk one. After walking for a while, they finally arrived in front of Li Longji. Xiao Bei had always been in charge of external affairs, so this time, she was the one to speak. Xiao Bei straightened her body and bowed. Your Majesty, this subject feels that the CBRC can't easily recruit people. Only those who are truly capable can be promoted. Otherwise, wouldn't they be harming the country and the people? This subject feels that in a situation where he doesn't have any thoughts about the economy, he must have some selfish motives for wanting to go to the CBRC. This subject thinks so too. This subject impeaches him for having improper intentions. Xiao Yuan also stepped forward to express her support. The person who said that he wanted to enter the CBRC was dumbfounded. He was just trying to fight for some benefits in the future, but he didn't expect to be refuted by a bunch of little fellows the moment he said it. This was too infuriating. How did these little fellows get to the CBRC? They even called themselves subjects. What kind of joke was this? Your Majesty, how can the imperial court be a place for little fellows to cause trouble? This person was furious, as he said to Li Longji, "Who's a little fellow? You've already said it clearly. Don't you know that there's a hierarchy in learning the Tao, and that the more accomplished one is the teacher?" Xiao Yuan was unhappy. She was an official, so why was she being looked down upon? "Which family are you from?" The person who spoke just now glared at her and asked. "I'm from Sanshui County's Wang family." "How about that? Don't glare at me. If you continue to glare, I'll investigate you. I don't believe that you're so innocent, untainted, and untainted." Xiao Yuan could be considered to have clashed with this person. After all, even if she said or did something wrong, she still had her brother and sister to back her up. She decided to scare the other party first. Who knew that just as she finished speaking, the other party's face changed. It wasn't as rosy as before, but rather a little pale. Of course, it could also be because of the cold weather and the strong wind outside. This person still didn't know what kind of effect the change in his face had on him. Just as he was about to continue speaking, Zhang Shuo, who was standing in front, stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, this subject feels that we should investigate Minister Yen of the Ministry of Revenue. This subject feels that he must have violated imperial grace." When Zhang Shuo said this, he winked at Xiao Bei and the rest. It was unknown if he really liked Xiao Bei and the rest, or if he was just expressing goodwill to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. However, this wasn't important. What was important was that he also suggested to investigate this person with the surname Yen that Xiao Yuan had casually mentioned. Approved. Li Longji wasn't blind. He could also tell that something was wrong with this person, so he immediately approved. "Your Majesty, this subject has sinned. Please show mercy." This person immediately knelt down with a thud. His movements made the people in front of him feel pain for him. This was a limestone slab, so his knees were probably bruised. Xiao Yuan and the rest opened their mouths wide as they looked at this kneeling person in shock. Xiao Yuan never expected that what he casually said would actually come true. There was something wrong with this person. The other officials really didn't know what to say. Those who knew the identities of Xiao Bei and the rest all felt pity for this person with the surname Yen. How could he be so unlucky? He even dared to stand out when a bunch of little rascals who knew about the imperial censorate came out. Impeachment didn't matter if he had done anything wrong. As long as there was an impeachment, there would definitely be an investigation. This was the authority of the imperial censorate. Even if he had done something wrong, the imperial censorate wouldn't be able to do anything wrong. More importantly, why wasn't your body clean? You didn't have enough willpower. Once you were impeached, you would be exposed. This was over. Perhaps you could still avoid the Lord's impeachment, or perhaps you would be given a lighter sentence. After all, if it was just a little corruption or a little bribery, it wouldn't be a big deal. But when the little rascals were impeached, as long as the two sides were compared, wouldn't you be hated? The little rascals were so cute. Indeed, Li Longji didn't give any face this time. With a sullen face, he looked at this person with the surname Yen and ordered Zhang Shuo, "Investigate. Investigate thoroughly." "Your subject obeys," Zhang Shuo replied. Following that, this person was dragged away. Immediately, there would be people investigating him. This wouldn't be as simple as just questioning him to see if he was lying. They would rush to his house and investigate everything that could be investigated. If he didn't cooperate, he would definitely be punished severely. Seeing this person being dragged away, little Yuan sighed helplessly. She felt that the world was really mysterious. She had just casually said something, and it turned out to be right. On the other hand, little Bei appeared much calmer. If she had harmed someone else, she might feel apologetic, but this person was definitely doing it for himself. "Who asked you to have a problem?" Taking 2 steps forward, little Bei said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, we feel that if we want to enter the CBRC now, we need to tell us what financial leverage is. If we don't even know this, we definitely can't enter the CBRC." After little Bei finished speaking, she turned her head and looked around to see if anyone was willing to stand up and say that they knew. The officials finally understood the power of little Bei's group. No one said a word. They didn't even have the courage to look at little Bei and the others, who knew what financial leverage was. They had never even heard of it before. Little Bei waited for a while. Seeing that no one dared to look at her, she turned her head and said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, no one knows. That's why I feel that the people in the CBRC need to be trained by my elder brother and elder brother." Li Longji's face revealed a brilliant smile. Seeing that little Bei and the others didn't say anything, he felt that this group of little fellows was really too fun. They were clearly children, but they had to pretend to be adults. Back then, when they first met, they impeached a county magistrate. This time, they took care of an official. They were even more impressive than the real censorate. "Your Majesty, say something. Is it like what I said?" Seeing that Li Longji didn't say anything, little Bei finally felt a little nervous. Why did Uncle Emperor change when he came to this place? Hearing little Bei's voice, Li Longji finally reacted and said, "Yes, we feel that it should be so." "Little Bei, Have you eaten yet? I ate breakfast, but I haven't eaten lunch yet. Uncle Emperor, let's eat hot pot today, okay? Little Bei rubbed her stomach and replied. Okay, we'll eat hot pot at noon. Li Longji agreed. Next to him, Gao Lishir waved his hand at Little Bei and the others, indicating that they should quickly return to their positions. Little Bei and the others were also smart. They immediately ran back to their positions, their legs trembling. All the civil and military officials were speechless. What the hell was this? They were actually asking if they had eaten in court? Li Longji no longer thought about the people who had just been dragged away. He continued to talk about the matters that should be discussed in court. At this time, Little Bei and the others didn't have a chance to interrupt. They followed their elder brother and elder sister and waited for the court to end. From time to time, they would smile at the civil officials who looked over. After Li Longji finished discussing the matters of the morning court with the officials, he didn't leave first. Instead, he waved his hand at Zhang Xiaobao. Little Bei immediately rushed over and happily arrived at Li Longji's side. She leaned against the dragon throne and said to Li Longji, Uncle Emperor, it's too cold outside. Even if you have a charcoal brazier here, it's useless. Why don't you use stainless steel to build a large hall? In the future, you can hold morning court there. Can there be a suicidal fat cow when you eat hot pot at noon? Li Longji didn't care about Little Bei at all. He leaned against the dragon throne and listened to Xiaobao speak. Wei Wei was stunned. Only now did she understand what suicidal fat cow meant. It was none other than beef hot pot. Little Bei wanted to eat beef bone, marrow. She nodded repeatedly and said, yes, there was a cow that was very sullen. It was just like that official registrar Yen. It couldn't take it anymore and offended our Little Bei, so it committed suicide. That person surnamed Yen can also commit suicide? I don't think so. Generally, corrupt officials are all afraid of death. It's fine as long as there's a fat cow. I want the bone, marrow from the spine. Uncle Emperor, let me tell you. On the way here, we met a cow that wasn't willing to eat. It was thin, so we bought it and killed it. There's even bezoar in it. Uncle Emperor, you mustn't tell others. If others find out, they'll make us spend more money. Little Bei doesn't have much money to begin with. I still need to leave some for people who are poor to deal with emergencies. Little Bei blinked her big eyes and explained what happened on the way here. Then, she stretched out her hand and revealed her pinky, wanting to make a promise. What else could Li Longji do? He also stretched out his pinky and made a promise with Little Bei. After listening to what Little Bei said about making a promise and not changing it for 100 years, the ceremony could be considered complete. Satisfied, Little Bei chuckled for a while, then said to Li Longji, Uncle Emperor, that hall that little one mentioned just now is really feasible. Little Bei's family has a hall like that when they discuss matters in the winter. If you don't have money, Little Bei, this subject is willing to use my usual pocket money to make one for your majesty. As she spoke, Little Bei squeezed into Li Longji's arms and sat on the dragon throne with him. Li Longji was afraid that Little Bei would slide down and scratch something, so he hugged her and said, Okay, we'll build one according to Little Bei's suggestion. Uncle Emperor has money, but how do we build one? Ask Big Brother and Big Sister. Big Brother and Big Sister know. Little Bei had just stood below and felt cold, so she came over to get warm. Li Longji naturally didn't feel cold here, making her feel very comfortable, especially the clothes Li Longji was wearing. The fabric was good, and it was similar to a silk cloth doll. Just like that, Li Longji carried Little Bei back to Xingqing Palace. He ordered people to find a cow that had committed suicide. After it was cleaned up, it would be cooked hot pot for lunch. The spine couldn't be missing. After the morning court was dismissed, it didn't take long before it was noon. The cold wind blew, and a group of people began to prepare for lunch in the main hall. The details of the preparation were naturally done by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Wang Wan was in charge of slicing the meat, and Zhang Xiaobao was in charge of mixing the base ingredients for the hot pot. When it was time to eat, Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, Xiaobao, Cuckoo, you can't continue to stay in Baoxing County. Have you thought about where you want to go? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan thought to themselves, here we go. They looked at each other, and Zhang Xiaobao answered, Your Majesty, I feel that the place we want to go must not be too rich. Cuckoo, and I won't be of much use there. It's best to go to a province that is relatively poor and has a small population. In fact, Cuckoo, and I want to go to Ci province, but it's not too poor. I've discussed it with Cuckoo, and we can open a business there. It's fine if we don't go there. I feel that the place we want to go must have a lot of water. For example, the Yangtze River is not as good as the nearby Yellow River. Of course, if you want me to go to Lingnan Circuit, it's fine, but I can't go to Luzhou. Oh, there must be a lot of water. Then, where do you and Cuckoo want to go the most, Xiaobao? You should at least give me a rough idea, right? Li Longji thought to himself, there's no way I'm sending you to Lingnan. Otherwise, where would I send you when I send people to? Because of Luzhou, many people who should have died on the way to Lingnan were able to board boats and arrive at Lingnan within the allotted time. This was especially true if they were near Luzhou's place. I wonder if they're going to enjoy life or suffer there. Although Zhang Xiaobao did not know what Li Longji was thinking, he could not reveal the location. Therefore, he changed the topic and said, Your Majesty, I feel that Hunan Circuit is better. I have a secret recipe in my family that allows me to obtain good things from there. It can be used to farm and increase the yield of crops. If the water is used to feed livestock, it can make them grow stronger. Even if it's used to make tea, boil water, or bathe, it's not bad. Oh, what's so miraculous? As expected, Li Longji no longer considered what Zhang Xiaobao said about Hunan Circuit. He focused on what Zhang Xiaobao said after that. If it were anyone else who said this, Li Longji would not have believed them. In fact, he might even punish them. However, it was different when it came from Zhang Xiaobao. There were too many miraculous things happening in the Zhang family and the Wang family. He was used to it. If the Wang family said they had it, they had it. Even if they did not have it, they would think of a way to obtain it. Zhang Xiaobao produced a handful of stones from his pocket. Some of them were specially polished into a round shape. These were used to soak in water, while others were broken into pieces. These could be used to soak in water. Most of the time, steam baths under the name of a certain country were called water treasures. Not all of them were electrolyte stones. Li Longji looked at the stones Zhang Xiaobao produced. He did not understand them. He reached out and took them. He was not afraid that they were poisonous. He looked at them carefully and was even more puzzled. Xiaobao, are these the miraculous things you mentioned? They don't look like anything. Your Majesty, as the saying goes, if jade is not cut, it will not become a good thing. When the jade was first made, it did not look good. Why did it become different after being processed? Your Majesty, the Empress once wrote a letter to Cuckoo, saying that her skin was better. Cuckoo and I were very happy. After thinking about it, we concluded that it must be because the Empress often cultivated in the pool that Cuckoo had people use to make with these stones. The Empress Zhang Xiaobao was talking about was the current Empress Wang. She was the only empress in the Tang Empire. By mentioning Wang Wan, he would not appear disrespectful. Li Longji was indeed fooled. He really thought that he could touch her smooth skin with just these stones. When he looked at the stone in his hand again, his expression changed. He asked Zhang Xiaobao, You said that this stone was produced in Hunan Circuit? Yes. I think that there may be such stones in other places, but I have not found them yet. I only found them in Hunan Circuit. Therefore, Cuckoo, and I want to go to Hunan Circuit, even if it is Dangzhou. Zhang Xiaobao continued. Li Longji was about to nod in agreement when he suddenly remembered that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had lied to him. Could it be that he could not find some trouble for them? Therefore, Li Longji revealed a troubled expression and said to Zhang Xiaobao, The officials in Dangzhou are doing well. I think that Xiaobao, you already have a lot of stones like this at home. No wonder your family had such a high yield when you were in Sanshui County. Why don't you change to another place? After all, Dengzhou is not small. If I put you there, some people will not be willing. Wang Wan was doing her best to cook meat for her younger brother and sister. She lowered her head and did not make a sound. She was afraid that she would laugh out loud if she looked up. Gao Lishir was anxious for Zhang Xiaobao. He felt that Xiaobao should not have said everything. Wouldn't this make His Majesty refuse? Zhang Xiaobao also cooperated with him and revealed a helpless expression. Your Majesty, is it really impossible for me and Cuckoo to go there? This stone was found in my home. I still plan to build a few more baths here. Those are all money. Li Longji was proud of himself. Just as he was about to say no, he suddenly remembered how Feng Zhou was given away. He held back his words and carefully looked at Zhang Xiaobao. He wanted to see if Zhang Xiaobao was lying. Zhang Xiaobao looked back at him with an innocent expression. His eyes were like crystals, revealing sincerity. Li Longji really wanted to laugh. At this time, he had already discovered the ability of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They looked very sincere, but in fact, they were not. Lie, continue lying. Do you want to lie to me again? I've long known that all the places that you speak of are all lies, and all the places that you don't speak of might not be true. Other people's lies are all lies, and the truth is all lies. You're all lies within lies, 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 lies within lies. Yes, that's right. There are big tricks and medium tricks, and there are small tricks within the medium tricks. If I were to believe you, I would really be helping you count the money after being sold. Thinking this, Li Longji strengthened his conviction. He did not want to be led astray by Zhang Xiaobao. He prepared to test the waters and said, actually, it's not impossible. It's just that the officials there need to be reshuffled. I don't know where to go. It's true. As long as Your Majesty is willing to let this subject and Cuckoo go to Dengzhou, this subject and Cuckoo promise that we will definitely make that place more prosperous. As for the original people, they can be sent elsewhere. Presumably, that person is more familiar with the seaside. Why don't we send them to the east of Jiangnan? That place is not bad. It's also close to the sea. Zhang Xiaobao revealed a happy expression, but Li Longji did not believe that it would be so simple. He narrowed his eyes and said, why do we need to go to the east of Jiangnan? Why don't we go to the Anong Protectorate? There are many provinces there. Didn't you want to go there? A map appeared in Li Longji's mind, and the Anong Protectorate was on it. That place was really big, and the provinces, there were all small provinces next to each other. Come, Xiaobei, I'll give you some bone marrow. Once you eat the bone marrow, you won't be afraid of a cold anymore. It's said that the place Uncle Emperor mentioned is very cold. In the future, when we go there, things will be easier. At this time, Wang Wan made a bone marrow for Xiaobei. As she spoke, she put the bone marrow into Xiaobei's mouth. Then, she began to make bone marrow for others. Elder sister, that place is really cold. Can we go there? Xiao Yuan asked while waiting for the bone marrow. Of course you can. Elder sister and your big brother Xiao Bao are very capable. Back then, we wanted to go to that place and wanted to find a place near the sea, such as Jili Prefecture. Unfortunately, Uncle Emperor did not agree and only gave us Feng Prefecture. Wang Wan also stuffed a bone marrow into Xiao Yuan's mouth and told him about the cold place. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao immediately followed Wang Wan's words and said to Li Longji, Your Majesty, why don't you give that place to us? We don't want the My Fan stone anymore. We really want this kind of stone. Zhang Xiaobao's gaze was still so sincere that no one could see what he was thinking. Li Longji was really in a difficult situation. One place after another, they were all places that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wanted to go. But where exactly should they go? At this time, a young eunuch slipped in from outside and gave Gao Lishir a look. Gao Lishir hurriedly left. Li Longji did not mention where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went and continued to eat. After a while, Gao Lishir came back and said to Li Longji, Your Majesty, a pigeon came from Wing Prefecture. It said that Tubo has already sent an envoy here. They want to discuss the matter of exchanging slaves or other things for food. They are very fast and will probably arrive in the capital by the middle of the second month. Changing again? This is all thanks to Xiaobao. Let them come. I want to see if they will still be as arrogant as before. Li Longji put down his chopsticks and said. Zhang Xiaobao naturally knew about Tubo. It seemed that they would not be able to survive for 2 years in a row. If it was said that they could still hold on when their food was burned the first time, they would not be able to hold on this time. If not for the fact that they knew that they could not defeat the great Tang, they would have already sent troops to the border. This was already a foregone conclusion, but it was not important. What was important was that they could make use of it. Your Majesty, this subject has decided not to go to the sea here. I will go to Jiannan Circuit and follow Cuckoo to Pengzhou. We will continue to deal with Tubo and make them unable to recover. Zhang Xiaobao looked as though he was loyal to the country. Wang Wan also said, Indeed, Your Majesty, we are willing to go over and deal with Tubo. It's not for the sake of earning money. It would have been fine if she didn't say the last few words. As soon as she said those words, Li Longji immediately rejected the idea of sending 2 people over. If they were to manage the land there, others would surely object. No matter how much he trusted them, it was impossible for all of the officials to think that they wouldn't rebel. Once a person had the ability, there was nothing that they couldn't do. This matter isn't appropriate. You can't go there. It's better to find a place by the sea. The Yangtze River and Yellow River aren't suitable for you. I have decided to send you to Dangzhou. As long as you are of a higher rank, it's fine. As for the Anong Protectorate, the winter there is too cold, so it's fine if you don't go. Li Longji said as he observed Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan lowered their heads at the same time. However, in that instant, Li Longji saw Wei Wei's lips curl up. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will definitely manage Dangzhou well. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan expressed their gratitude at the same time. Their voices were slightly different from usual, but Wei Wei was trembling. This made Li Longji's heart beat faster. Could it be that the 2 of them really wanted to go to Dangzhou? Could it be that they were just putting on an act for him? It was hard to say for sure. He couldn't take back his words so casually. Thus, Li Longji shot a glance at Gao Lishur. Gao Lishur didn't want to be caught in the middle, but he couldn't pretend that he didn't understand the emperor's intentions. Thus, he said, Your Majesty, this matter is a little too rushed. It's better to discuss it with the officials first before making a decision. Oh, is it too rushed? I'm also thinking for Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Could it be that there are still people who would object? Li Longji pretended to be calm and said, Your Majesty, it's best to be cautious, Gao Lishur advised. Li Longji was clearly very dissatisfied. In the end, he sighed helplessly and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, it seems that this matter won't be easy to pass. How about we discuss it again? A hint of anxiety appeared in Zhang Xiaobao's eyes, but he immediately concealed it. His lips curled up as he said to Li Longji, Your Majesty, in truth, this subject and Cuckoo can go anywhere. If Your Majesty feels that it's troublesome, then you can just arrange for a place near the sea. Li Longji felt that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan really wanted to go to Dangzhou, so he decided that he couldn't let the 2 of them go there. In any case, they won't be bad no matter where they go. It's better to choose another place. The Anong Protectorate that I mentioned just now isn't bad. Shouldn't we consider letting the 2 of them go there? That place has always been difficult to manage, so it's a good opportunity to see how capable the 2 of them are. It's just that they should stay there for a period of time and come back when it's about time. It just so happens that that place is also near the sea. Chapter 766. Every year, the most normal selection of officials would end after the Spring Festival. Some people would be promoted, while others would lose their official positions. Other than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, all the officials who were sent out. According to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, Zhang Zhong still couldn't leave Luoyang and had to stay for at least another year. Li Longji didn't care about this. Luoyang was nothing more than a vacant position. If he had the energy, he might as well spend it on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After the morning court session ended, Li Longji had Zhang Shuo and Zhang Jiuling stay behind. As for Zhang Jiazhen, he didn't have a chance. He was no longer the prime minister, who told his family to be in trouble. He was sent outside. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't protect everyone. There were many things that they didn't know, and sometimes, even if they knew, they couldn't change it. For example, Zhang Shuo insisted on making Feng Chan his own people. At this time, other than the palace maids and eunuchs, there were only Li Longji, Gao Lishir, Zhang Shuo, and Zhang Jiuling in Xingqing Palace. Sitting in a chair, Li Longji held a teacup in one hand and held the lid of the cup with the other. He drank tea, the hot steam covering his face. Zhang Shuo and Zhang Jiuling didn't know why the emperor wanted them, but they also drank tea. In their hearts, they kept thinking about today's morning court session. Was there something that hadn't been arranged yet? That's too outrageous. If Li Shi hadn't brought the tea that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan gave you yesterday, wouldn't we only be drinking their inferior tea? Li Longji drank 3 bowls in a row and felt full. Only then did he stop to talk. Your Majesty is right. This subject will definitely have Xiaobao send more good tea. But if it's during a bad year, Gao Lishir responded. He didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was very clear. Li Longji wasn't an idiot. Recently, he gradually realized that the things he used weren't of high quality if they were related to the year. I know. It's because they are afraid that when I eat and drink well, they won't be able to produce the same thing every year. So be it, they will bring me the best every year. For example, this tea. If they can't produce it this year, I won't force them to produce the same quality. What do you think, official Zhang? Li Longji was a reasonable person. When he was talking to Gao Lishir, he suddenly asked about Zhang Shuo. Zhang Shuo was still waiting for the emperor to say something. He thought it was something big, but after waiting for so long and drinking a cup of tea, the emperor only talked about the tribute. Was there a need to look for the prime minister for such a thing? Since the emperor had asked, he could not answer. Your Majesty, I think it should be so. The Zhang family and the Wang family don't have it easy. Zhang Shuo really wanted to belittle the Zhang family and the Wang family at this time, but he took back his words. He knew that he had some conflicts with the Zhang family and the Wang family. If he suddenly added insult to injury, now, not only would it be useless, but it would also make the emperor look down on him. Zhang Jiuling couldn't listen to this anymore. It was just a small matter. If he thought that the tea from the Zhang family and the Wang family was good, he could just ask for it from them. Why did he have to look for him? There was still work to be done in the department. So Zhang Jiuling said, Your Majesty, if it's just this subject also agrees. Does Your Majesty have any other government affairs for this subject to do? Hearing that Zhang Jiuling was unhappy, Li Longji wasn't angry. Indeed, it was just the end of a new year. There was a lot of work to be done in each department. Yes, we still have something to discuss with the two of you. The Secretary of Baoxing County, Zhang Xiaobao, and the Deputy County Magistrate, Wang Wan, haven't been assigned a place to go this year. You two, tell me, where should they be assigned? Zhang Shuo and Zhang Jiuling understood. It was indeed a problem. Logically speaking, there had never been such a young person who was an official in this dynasty. Other than the Wang Ye, who had an empty title under different circumstances, there had never been a child who had an actual position. There had been such cases in history. Zhang Jiuling felt that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were capable enough. So he suggested, why don't we assign them to a place closer to the capital? Transfer them to Wanyan County to be the county magistrate. No. Gao Lishir stopped Zhang Jiuling. Wanyan County is one of the counties in Jiangyi Province. It's already not bad. If we transfer Xiaobao, Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan here, it's just adding a few flowers to the brocade. The loss outweighs the gain. It's better to directly transfer them to the capital and put them in the Ministry of Revenue or the Ministry of War. Li Longji also thought the same. If they really sent the two of them to the capital, it would be a waste of talent. When Secretary Zhang Xiaobao and Deputy County Magistrate Wang Wan met me a few days ago, they mentioned a few places. One was Fengzhou, and the other was Jiannan Province. Your Majesty, we can't put them in those two places. If we put them in those two places, then they'll be too far away from home. Zhang Shuo became nervous. He was afraid that the emperor would really put Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in a certain place. Wouldn't that be inviting a tiger into the forest? Any place where their family's important property was absolutely not allowed. Li Longji glared at him. I haven't finished yet. It's not easy to meet them by chance. Naturally, I can't just say two places. There are two more places. One is Ciizhou, and the other is Dengzhou. I also mentioned the Anong military governor's mansion. The two of them didn't directly refuse, and only said that they wanted a place near the sea. Only then did Zhang Shuo feel relieved. As for what the emperor said about meeting by chance, was he trying to scare fools? Two small officials could meet the emperor by chance. There were only 4 people in total. Why did he say that? The number of coincidences was too many. Zhang Shuo quickly drove the emperor's insincere complaints out of his mind. He began to consider the places. Fengzhou and Jiannan Province were definitely out of the question. Ciizhou was also out of the question. Li Yu was there, and there was also the investment of the Zhang family and the Wang family, as well as Li Sun. The only place left was Dengzhou, which was at the easternmost part of Hunan Province. Your Majesty, Dengzhou is the place where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan plan to go. They bought a lot of land there, and all the land produces a type of stone. Now, a lot of it has already been sent to the capital. They're getting people to build a bathhouse, and they want to open a chain store. Why don't we let the two of them go to Dengzhou? It'll be more convenient for them to manage the surrounding area. Zhang Shuo thought of such an important matter. He also knew that the emperor actually didn't care about where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were going. What he was worried about was that he couldn't immediately fulfill their wishes. It was as if he was competing with them like a child. Is that so? Oh. Okay, we understand. Is there a place near Dengzhou in the Anong Protectorate? It's not easy to arrange in Dengzhou, so we'll send them to the Anong Protectorate. Li Longji attached great importance to this information. He felt that he had won a big battle. It wasn't easy. After being schemed against by the Zhang family and the Wang family, he had finally gotten back at them. Gao Lisher's expression was very interesting. He felt helpless and emotional. He could understand Li Longji. Although it was a little beneath his dignity to fight with 2 children, it was fine to fight. He believed that Xiaobao and Cuckoo wouldn't care as long as they raised the grade of the stones. Zhang Shuo felt that he had found an opportunity. He carefully thought about the situation in the Anong Protectorate and said, Your Majesty, there's a good Jili province over there. It's very close to Dengzhou. As long as we take a boat, it won't take long to get there. Moreover, that place is in need of development. Zhang Juling, who was at the side, felt that Zhang Shuo was being too unreasonable. That place was indeed close to Dengzhou, but even though it was a province, it couldn't be any smaller. It didn't have a population. There seemed to be 2 small cities, a Puzi and a town there. If they continued to search, it would probably be a village with only a few families. Gao Lisher also knew about such a small province. He didn't want to send his godson there. He said to Li Longji, Your Majesty, that place is lacking in population. Li Longji was really hesitant. How could he develop without population? Although he had schemed against Xiaobao and Cuckoo once, he couldn't harm them. Your Majesty, who doesn't know about Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's capabilities? There's no need to worry about a small population. I believe that as long as they go to a place, they will definitely develop it well and increase the population. Zhang Shuo was afraid that the emperor would change his mind, so he praised Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan a little. Li Longji didn't immediately speak. Wei Wei closed her eyes and thought for a while. Finally, she made up her mind. That's fine. We will let the two of them manage the entire province. One will be the provincial governor, and the other will be the military registrar. If they really can't develop, we will find another place for them. You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.